Yo, it's your boy Sean Puff, and this is Smarks, Spot Monkeys, and Super Kicks. And I'm here with my newest co-host, Jimmy. What is up, Jimmy? How you doing, man?
What's going on? Would you consider this a super kick party of sorts?
It's kind of a super kick party. Definitely a super kick party. Probably more of a super kick party than a smark party, I think.
Ooh, I mean, to be a smark, you got to be a mark, and I'm one of the biggest marks of them all. So I think you got the right co-host on this one.
I think we're going to have fun. So I want to let everybody know, if you've followed Smarks since the beginning of it, since we came off of Lit Radio, since we started doing this whole little thing, we've always been a show that keeps up with current wrestling and talks current wrestling, but the market's oversaturated with that. Everyone wants to tell you their opinion on what happened last night on Raw, what happened on Dynamite, what they think should happen next. We could do that too, but you probably hate our opinions, so why waste our time with that, right?
They're not going to like our opinions
Jimmy,
regardless of what we talk about.
Fair enough. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna switch things up. We've got a rotation of topics that we're gonna go through every week. So every week's gonna be something different. We're gonna go through things that happened in the past that might not have been as great as we thought they were. We're gonna review pay-per-views. We're gonna talk about forgotten gems, things that happened that were amazing that don't really get talked about. We're gonna talk about what ifs. We're gonna talk about what if we did it today? What if they did this a different way in the past? So there's going to be a lot of breaking down between myself and Jimmy. We've added another little twist to this. So while this has always been an audio podcast, we do have a video component. You'll be able to watch what we do live at some point. And we're actually allowing some people to join us live on YouTube where they can comment. So for the first time ever, you can participate live in the show, throw in some comments, ask some questions. If we see it fits, we might respond to your comment and talk about it on air. So definitely check us out. Follow everything that's going on. This is going to be great. And for you people who know me, because I know some of you know Jimmy, me and Jimmy from other places, this isn't Jimmy Jam and Franklin Benjamin. This is something completely different. So sit back, roll up a J, grab yourself a beverage, and let's get into it.
And even where you do post this after the fact, if you guys have questions, I'm sure if you post them in the links and the comment section of that, we will have a grand time answering that the following episode.
Absolutely. I'm game for that. We can start out every section with reviewing what the fans said about the last show and come back and touch on it. Because, I mean, we know a lot, but we're probably not absolute geniuses. We might miss some stuff, mess some stuff up. So feel free to say, oh, hey, look this up and that's wrong. But I feel like
it's 2020. It's 2026. They won't actually know the answer then, but they'll go back, Google it, use AI, and then be like, hey, you're wrong. But they didn't know probably at the time.
You know what's going to be fun? When someone tells us it's wrong and we point out the AI was wrong. Because I can tell you right now, when we started researching this week's topic, I asked ChatGPT and it gave me some answers that were completely wrong about how this whole thing went down. So I'm sure we'll get some people coming at us telling us we did stuff wrong that ChatGPT told them and we weren't wrong. So it's going to be fun. So today we're going to get into our first topic. Our first topic is the Brawl for All. One of the biggest stains on wrestling ever, probably. Like one of the things that people look back and be like, wow, this was the biggest mistake. We don't know how this got okayed. Let's talk about the Brawl for All. I went back and watched it. I don't know if you went back and watched it. What are your thoughts on the Brawl for All just overall?
Well, the fact that you said the biggest stain in the sport of professional wrestling, I hope is not hyperbole. I don't think that's a word. In 1991 or 1990, didn't an egg hatch and the Red Rooster came out? Didn't Sting and RoboCop win like the WCW Tag Championship or something? I don't think they actually won the titles, but yeah, Brawl for All.
Arquette became WCW champion once, so.
But the thing is, the fans reacted. But back to the Brawl for All. So you really think overall it's a stain on the sport of wrestling? You think it should not have happened?
I don't think it should have happened. I think it was done horribly. There was no. Well, let me say this: if you're going to do something like this in the sport of professional wrestling, it has to be done differently. This was just, it was like go out there and do whatever you want. Like watching it back, it wasn't even entertaining to watch because it wasn't a match. There wasn't a format. It was just guys coming out doing whatever. You had guys just grabbing and punching in the wrist to get the most punches in. It was weird. It wasn't done well. How's that?
I mean, it was not boxing. It definitely was not boxing. It was kind of a barroom brawl. A lot of rabbit punches. Not too many people got in a boxing stance, and the whole takedown aspect of it threw it up too. But that was not mixed martial arts. That was WWE making their own unique rule set and scoring system as well for that.
Let's talk about the scoring system. So this is one of the things that AI messed up when it first sent me stuff, and I was like, "Hey, did you know this?" And it happened to tell me that there were no point. You weren't allowed to do takedowns. You actually get points for takedowns in this.
That was actually you got 5 points for a takedown, which is a lot easier than to knock down your opponent. You would get 5 points for a takedown, which is the same as a knockdown, which is crazy.
It was 10 points for a knockdown. So you get 10 for a knockdown, 5 for a takedown, and 5.
Oh, most punches thrown. Most punches thrown in the round or something.
Wild. So you could take someone down 5 times in a round and get 25
and get points for each one of them. Now, as somebody that did scholastic wrestling, that was a WWE referee that was scoring that. There was a lot of takedowns that if that was NCAA or blatantly a takedown, and the referee would be like, no takedown, no takedown.
That's interesting. See, I felt like there were takedowns that were given that weren't takedowns, but I didn't wrestle scholastic.
Now, this guy, I believe his name was Danny Hodge. Did you happen to see the guy that was the referee in the opening rounds? The referee that was like 90 years old?
I didn't notice him, though.
Yeah, Danny Hodge. Well, hey, that's a sign of a good referee when you don't notice him.
Right, very true. Listen, there were so many things wrong with this. The first match I watched was Steve Blackman versus Mark Merrow. And it was just so boring. Just Blackman just takedown. And Mark Merrow, who has a boxing background, even though they had boxing gloves on, you would have thought that, and you can argue this because Bart Gunn was a boxer and he did well in this, but it wasn't necessarily built for a boxer. So unless you were prepared, it was easy to get taken out of your game. We saw that with Mark Merrow.
So Steve Blackman is probably one of the most complete mixed martial artists that were in there. A lot of people would say Dan Severn. Steve Blackman had really nice takedowns, and he went at this competition with a very methodical approach. He blended his takedowns, but Mark Merrow definitely got a short end of the stick in this, even though he did get a re-entry, which maybe we'll recover. We'll cover. But Steve Blackman kind of set the blueprint. But like you said, the fans started off the very first Brawl for All match with booing and "We want wrestling."
Right. It was because it just wasn't wrestling. It wasn't wrestling at all, and it was hard. It's hard to do a whole wrestling show around something that's not wrestling at all. It takes fans out of it. Go ahead.
Now, they did try to explain it, but they didn't really. They kind of just threw it out there. They advertised it a little bit, but there was not a lot. So fans didn't really know what they were about to see. And boxing at its premise is sometimes very boring. Now, that was not boxing. A lot of those guys were slugging. And then takedowns, I don't think a lot of people wanted to see the takedowns. But yeah, that first match definitely got booed out of the building.
And I don't think it got better after that. I mean, we had some knockouts, we had some action, but for a lot of it, it was just very hard to watch. So I was sitting here watching it with my girlfriend, and she was like, "What is this? Why is this so bad? Why do you like this?" She says to me. And that's the thing. And especially with something like the WWE, they're always looking at, they were on USA Network. This isn't something that's going to keep people glued to their TV watching. So, again, these are the reasons why I don't think it was done well.
Well, I mean, USA did actually have boxing in the mid-'90s. I believe it was on Tuesday, the day after Raw, and they would advertise it. There was boxing on USA Network, but this was definitely not boxing.
And I think they presented it the way that it was presented with the big boxing gloves on. I think people were like, "Oh, this is going to be cool. It's wrestlers boxing." And the fact that it wasn't boxing, it wasn't mixed martial arts. There were no submissions. It took away from all of it. I think, and like the fans looked at it and was like, "Oh, this is going to be this," and it's not that, and it's not what we first tuned in to see in the first place.
Now, did you watch this live, or is this something you came back and watched after the fact, or were you watching wrestling when Brawl for All was happening?
Oh, I was watching when it happened. I've been watching wrestling since my first wrestling memory was Hulk Hogan pinning the Iron Sheik for the WWF Championship.
Hulkamania drew you in.
I'm a Hulkamaniac through and through. I'm not the. We're not going to get political on this show, but I'm not that guy. I love Hulk Hogan. I grew up on Hogan.
It's weird that you have to say, I mean, that's actually a double entendre saying you don't need to get political, but the fact that Hulk Hogan is even associated with politics, but that is his own doing. But there is a lot of politics involved with him. But for me, I didn't really truly get into wrestling until 1996, which was the big reset in pro wrestling. That was when I went back and did my homework after the fact, but 96 is when I kind of got into it. But is there anybody that when the tournament came out, anybody you were cheering for specifically, anybody you wanted to come out there and hopefully get the rub of this kind of competition?
I mean, not really. It was built for Dr. Death, right? This whole tournament was built for Dr. Death. So I was expecting to see Dr. Death come out and do his thing. I thought this was going to be way more scripted than it was. There wasn't really anybody in this tournament that stood out to me as, ooh, I really, really like that guy. There were no huge names. Dan Severn, great competitor, but he didn't do it for me. They didn't get Shamrock in it. They thought about getting him into it, but he ended up not in it. Some of these guys, Mark Canterbury came out, and I was watching it back, and I'm like, who the hell's that guy? They're like, oh, Mark Canterbury. I was like, oh, that's Henry Godwin. I didn't know
the
that.
Hog, Mark. So that's funny you said that. Some people came out as their gimmick, and other people didn't like that. Like, I mean, he was kind of, I don't want to say a shell of his former self, but you had Hawk who came out in his attire.
He was a shell.
He came out with face paint and all.
It was weird. That version of Hawk has always been odd to me because that's when he was going through his alcoholic demons, right? He didn't have, like, he let his hair grow back in. He didn't have the reverse mohawk that he was always known for. Like that Hawk is just, you were right in saying he was a shell of himself. Anyone who doesn't like it, oh well, I don't really care. But he was at that point in his career, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, in the 80s, he probably, I'm not even talking about his drug or alcoholism. I mean, lifting, steroids. I mean, you still got to hit the gym for steroids to work, but that guy was probably on GHB, a lot of PEDs, and he got off it. So he's generally not a huge frame guy, but in the 80s, that man was thick.
Yeah, he was definitely a lot smaller for this as well.
But so that was an interesting match. And now you said though, but so yeah, the Hog, Henry O. Godwin, that was an interesting match. So you say that this was brought on to get Dr. Death Steve Williams over, but at the same time, the whole idea came from Bradshaw just talking shit. Bradshaw is such an asshole. And as fans, when you go back and watch, yes, we know who Bradshaw was now, but not then. A lot of people didn't know that Bradshaw was that kind of bully. They just thought he was some cowboy, Blackjack Mulligan, or whatever he was.
But he was talking a lot of shit about how he was the toughest guy in the locker room. He could beat anybody up in a bar brawl. And yeah, you're right. That's how this whole tournament actually came about. The whole reason was because Bradshaw was this tough guy that was going to beat everybody. And the WWE used it to be able to say, we're going to get Bradshaw getting all the way to the end and taking on Dr. Death. And this is how we're going to put Dr. Death over and make Dr. Death be the man. And none of it didn't happen the way they expected it. It just absolutely didn't.
Now I thought the Bradshaw, so even though you didn't know who that was at the time, that Bradshaw versus Mark Canterbury, Henry A. Godwin, that was the first match that actually was like a brawl. That was just two guys that looked like drunk going at it. I think it hit what it needed to hit, at least.
It definitely did. But 1 minute rounds, it comes down to points. People don't want to see that. People don't want to see that.
And by the end of this, I mean,
match.
we could get into the discussion now, but maybe by the end of it, if WWE was to rerun this system back, what to change and whatnot. So I asked you who you got into this. I was cheering for Savio Vega, and I don't know if you caught Savio Vega. I think fought 2 times in this. Savio Vega fought Baracus. Did you see Baracus?
Yeah. Listen, he fought that match against Baracus great. So Savio Vega did his. Baracus, whatever happened to Baracus? Was he done?
So I don't know if it was right before or right after. He went to ECW. He's part of like Jason Sensation and I think Just Incredible's crew. And they presented him as the WWE guy, even though I don't remember anything besides the Brawl for All him competing in.
Yeah, I don't.
Can you stop laughing? So why does commentary when Savio Vega or certain people fight, they say he's very spicy or like what does that mean?
That's just like the 90s and wrestling was a different time, right? So there were a lot of things that were stereotypical and set for different cultures. So because he was Latino, he was spicy
and fiery. Also, they said, is that Shelton Benjamin very explosive?
No. That would be like
or athletic. He's also always said athletic and explosive.
Right, but I think it's more spicy was specifically, in my opinion, meant to be because he was Latin. Mm-hmm. People today, you get in trouble for it and say that it's racist, probably, but it was definitely he's Latin, he's spicy, he's hot, jalapenos. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is.
I mean, I did talk about myself becoming a wrestling fan in 1996, and Savio Vega was one of the first people I gravitated towards, and he was hurt. He was part of Los Boricuas. I believe I nailed that pronunciation, which I don't think I did. And he was hurt before this. And he competed in this. He was hurt with a neck injury, but as much as they said spicy and fiery, he really did, man. He fought pissed. That was an interesting fight, I think. I like that particular fight.
I feel like he came out to prove something. Like some of these guys came out there wanting to prove something, and you could tell. And it probably comes from all that shit talking that was happening.
I mean, there's certain people that didn't want to sign up. Like you wouldn't see Stone Cold if Shawn Michaels would never touch this. Shawn Michaels wouldn't touch this competition, the 15-foot pole.
No, I'd imagine there were people that wouldn't want to do it just because you got to think of this in the 90s WWE, 90s professional wrestling overall had this whole thing of you can't get beat up in real life because it makes you look like you're a pussy. So this was one of those things that you had to really think that you could hold your own out there, because if you went out and got embarrassed, you're ruined now because you can't go do that.
Bam Bam Bigelow. I remember Bam Bam Bigelow took an MMA match against Kimo Limapold, and he got beat. Anytime a wrestler doesn't look that strong, people say it exposes the business. And this is a match, but like you said, this was a lot of mid-carders. There wasn't anybody that was being positioned even the upper mid-card. He really, like Godfather. I think Godfather might have been the biggest star that was in this.
And he wasn't even really the Godfather. He was like just now becoming. He was still Kama Mustafa, the Godfather. And they were like kind of in the midst of giving him that push.
Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, first off, he has his microphone with boxing gloves. He did come out for a match and offer the hose. So he was. And he goes, I'm still fight you. This match, I'm not offering the hose.
Yeah, it was the beginning of that gimmick. Ended up being great. Who's on the phone here? What do we got?
Bill Clinton called in on. Bill Clinton was there too. He called in on one of this. So this is something else I wanted to kind of go into, is that they kind of integrated still storylines during this. Godfather had a match with Bart Gunn, and he was attacked on Sunday Night Heat beforehand, and they were advertising that he was going to have the Brawl for All. So they did do a little bit of the kayfabe mixed with the predetermined.
And I think that was kind of why they did the match, Bart Gunn's first match, right? Against there's the attack right there. You guys can't see it unless you're with us live.
I got you. So first off, everyone says Bart Gunn won. It wasn't Bart Gunn. That was Bodacious Bart.
It was Bodacious.
That was Bodacious Bart. He
Yeah.
was part of the Midnight Express with I forget what Hardcore Holly's name, Bombastic Holly or something. Bombastic Bob.
Yeah, Bombastic Bob, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Bombastic. Yeah, that's Hey, let us know in the comments if we're wrong. But and that was so when I watched that fight, I thought it was more close the first time I watched it, but Bart Gunn laid up beating on Hardcore Holly. But that shows you for obviously we're here because we already know history, so we know Bart Gunn won the damn thing. Spoiler alert. He did not knock out Hardcore Holly, and he hit Hardcore Holly with some big shots. Also, history might not make you remember. Bart Gunn did do a lot of takedowns in this competition. Not a lot, but he very sporadically each round would go for a takedown and hit it. A lot of people forget that Bart Gunn had some takedowns in these competitions.
By the way, Bob Holly was another guy who thought he was going to win this thing. That's why you see at the end of it, right? They're tag team partners at the time, and you see he goes to shake his hand and he punches him in the face at the end of this because he got like Bob Holly thought he was going to win this tournament. He went in there like, I'm going to go prove it in this bracket, and he just got shut down by Bart in round one. And they did do that, yeah.
Well, Blackman got hurt, so somebody was bringing up that Blackman almost reminded me, this is a crazy comparison, but George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre is not there to impress anybody with his performance. He is going to take people down and do whatever. He'll do some flashy kicks. And Steve Blackman, even though having a deep repertoire of martial arts, he used those takedowns very well in that competition.
He did, and he won that match. So it's so the comment that we got saying that he didn't win, and that's how we knew it was kayfabe. He won the match and went on, and then he got hurt and couldn't continue. So they put Mark Merrill back in because they didn't want to give a bye.
Now, Franklin, I don't know if you remember. I have a feeling. Do you remember Miss Jacqueline?
Of course I do.
Yeah, well, that's what Mark Merrill
was in WCW.
Miss Jackie. She did come out and she did her little grind thing. It was like Mark Merrow's doing some extra rounds with me. And they did bring him back. Mark Merrow got to go back, and he had JBL next. That was a crazy match. Did you watch Mark Merrow versus JBL?
I did. That was a good match.
Look at this guy. And like I said, this is before none of us knew who JBL was. JBL is such a bully. All these stare downs, he's getting into people's face. But I feel bad for Mark Merrow because we talk about the gimmick and what he did. He had that when he was with Sable as that boxer. His move was the TKO, even though it wasn't a boxing move. It was kind of like an F5 into a cutter. But he had the whole boxing gimmick, and there's no weight classes in this Brawl for All. There was some huge mismatches.
Yeah, and I think that's where it hurt him being a boxer, right? Because when you come from MMA, when you can do takedowns, if you're fighting someone who doesn't do takedowns, you can use that to your advantage. If you're a boxer and you're fighting a guy that's out of your weight class that can throw punches, you're out of your weight class. Fighting out of your weight class is fighting out of your weight class, and shit's going to happen. And unfortunately for Mark Merrow, he was a victim of not having weight classes, and it made him look really bad. And
a strategy that I saw, which JBL did, which Dan Severn did, and Dan Severn won his match and pulled out. They would take you down or put you in the corner, and the ref would try to break it, and they would like stay on him a little bit. And it was weird because the referee's doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's almost like it was kayfabe, but it wasn't. It was weird. And come on, break it up. And so the refs didn't really have too much control during this competition. I
think the refs were very under communicated to. Like they went in there, they didn't really know what. There wasn't answers for. Well, what if they try to do a submission hold? What do I do? So I think they just went into natural referee mode of I'm going to start counting to get you off of them, right? Because that's what you would normally do. But there's no disqualification in this. Well, I guess there is, but
they did take points out. He eventually, Jack Doan did kind of separate. But also, then you had the cutman. I almost wonder if that was legit or for performance to have the people with the cutman. And plus, everybody wants to take a break. When you go out there, even fighting for 1 minute is exhausting. But if you watched, I got scared. If you ever watched $1 Million Baby at the end of the movie when the lady falls and hits her neck they took forever to get those stools out. Thank God nobody fell into that. Oh my God. But now we're getting to the part of the bracket. Like you said, Mm-hmm.
I want to say something before you go. You mentioned something that I saw right away. In that match, Mark Canterbury versus Bradshaw, you could see them at the end of round one. They were gassed. They were both gassed. These are guys that would go and put on a 10-minute wrestling match, and they wouldn't look tired. But a minute of those two just slugging it out, they were gassed, and it was clear and obvious.
I'm not to put myself over, but when I used to box people at parties, I would literally just let them throw punches for 30 seconds, and I would just run at them and chain punch after they're gassed. And they would quit. Every time they would just quit after like, oh my God, I'm so tired. But speaking of people that think they're badass and then they're exposed, Steve Williams, Dr. Death, for his first match, they gave him a one-eyed man. The guy was one-eyed. And he's Canadian, and we know that Canadians just suck overall. Fuck Canadians.
True. Listen, though, let me tell you something. If Pierre was smart, right, he could have used that to his advantage.
How
Pirates did it. Pirates did it. That's what Pirates did. Like, Pirates didn't wear an eye patch because they lost an eye. Like, that's not what they wore an eye patch so that when they did night raid. So here's what they did. They'd wear a patch over one eye, right, all day long. And this eye is now trained for darkness because it's been in darkness all the time. So when nighttime comes and they would go on a night raid, they flip their patch to this side, and this eye is already trained for the night so they could see better at nighttime. That's the point.
So you're saying he almost made his other eye like a Dragon Ball Z, like Scouter, one eye, like it's over 9,000. Like he was seeing like Terminator Matrix breakdown of his opponent where he could like
something like that, kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's what he was going for. I thought you said he was going to like do like drop a rope and do like Captain Jack Sparrow and like jump off the ropes while holding it and like throw pocket sand and like maybe shoot him like when he's not looking or something like a true pirate. But
I would have had if that was my gimmick, I would say, listen, you have to shut the lights off at some point. The lights go off. I flip my patch off to the eye that's set for the darkness. I hit a move. The lights go back on. I flip my patch back over. That's what I would do with that gimmick.
Well, so I know Pico or what's and I know you kind of peruse the indie wrestling scene. Is PCO, is that the same guy? Was that the same one? I know that was part of the Quebecers. Is PCO the guy that's like Frankenstein now?
Yeah.
Is that's him?
Yeah,
the Brawl for All guy.
Yeah, that's
that I did not know. I would not have answered that for $1 million. I could have guessed maybe that I think, but I did not know that off the top of my head. I'll be honest. I did not know that PCO was the Brawl for All Quebecer.
Yep, that's him. That's Pierre. That's Pierre. PCO.
So Steve Williams, just a brawler, but he is a Oklahoma two-sport college athlete. That guy was a 4-year football player and a 4-year wrestler. But he just literally put his hands up and like bull forward in the 2 matches he was in. It was so weird. It did not have any technical prowess, if you ask me.
But that's not what he was. That's the whole thing. You know, like he was a collegiate wrestler, and while there like you said, right, there wasn't the same judging as if you're a collegiate wrestler. So I think you watch the first couple matches, you go out there as a collegiate wrestler, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to try that because that's not going to work. Like that guy had takedowns that should have been takedowns, and he didn't get counted as takedowns. I'm not going to go out there.
And what's great, so in wrestling, you shoot a takedown, it gets stuffed, you sprawl out, and then you circle around, take their back. In any height, at any level of wrestling, that is 2 points takedown. And Brawl for All, they were going, no takedown, no takedown. It's like, what? Now, somebody that you got, I think, looked very good in this tournament was Draws. Did you catch some of Draws' matches?
I did. Drostoff? And he did. He did look really good. Draws was an interesting guy too.
Oh, he's gonna puke. He's gonna puke. Which is more imitating Vince McMahon, which has nothing to do with Draws, but that's what he said.
It does, because that was his thing, right? Like, which is a weird gimmick, right? This was back when they gave gimmicks for weird ass things. They were like, "We're gonna call you Road Warrior Puke because you can puke on command." And Vince, when you look back at this now, hold on, I'm gonna sidetrack us for a second.
Side tangent. I love side tangents.
Looking at how everything has come out, what we know about Vince McMahon now, how do you really feel about him being so excited that he can make Draws puke on command?
Ooh, yeah, and he wanted to see it. And even though he just spit in the trash can, He wasn't mad. I mean, technically, in that movie, that was what was the movie? Beyond the Map. That's where it came from. He's gonna puke, and he didn't really do it. And Vince didn't like get mad. He's like, all right, at least you spit in front of me. I like it. Hey, don't go anywhere with that trash can. I'll take that trash can. All right, cameras, you can go away. And he took the trash can, like went away.
He probably dropped that spit on some. He probably dropped that spit on some intern's head.
Now, like you said, the first round, the fans were chanting, "We want wrestling," and booing, which is horrible. But they put themselves in a position where they had to finish this tournament. The fans did get into this eventually. We can't. Revisionist history is cool. Hey, Jim Cornette's funny. Let's just be like Jim Cornette and say, "Oh, the whole thing sucked. It ruined the business." But Bart Gunn had 3 highlight knockouts. Draws hit a takedown. Draws hit a double leg takedown that the fans all like popped for, like it was UFC. So they were cheering for takedowns on top of knockdowns.
And here's the thing, like you said, once they understood it, we said from the start, this whole tournament wasn't communicated well to everyone. Yes. No one really knew what to expect, how it was going to work. I don't think the refs really understood it going into it. So that whole first round was kind of just like, what the hell are we doing? How is this going to work? And there was just ruined expectations by not setting proper standards for everybody. But by the time we got to the second round and we saw that there were points for takedowns and people realized you can't just go out there and be a boxer and win this thing, I think it was the fans were able to get into it more because the wrestlers understood a little bit more of what they needed to do to win so they could go out there and plan for this better. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everyone's going to say they're going to get some liquor in them and say, yeah, I could beat him up. Dan Severn. So everybody thinks Dan Severn did not look like a killer in that match against God. Now, granted, he went against Godfather. Godfather might have been overall the big, and that's a supreme fighting machine. Let's not forget, before Godfather and in between Papa Shango, the sandwich was the meat was the supreme fighting machine.
It was.
But Dan Severn did hit some tournament. And like I said, I think Godfather might even hit a takedown. There was like Dan Severn looked sloppy. He actually kind of looked out of his element for that. And I think that's kind of why he dropped out, because he did not look like somebody that could take somebody down at will. Like Godfather stuffed some of his takedowns. Godfather's a bad man.
And here's another thing. So that match was weird because I think Severn got some takedowns that weren't scored takedowns for other people. So you couldn't really tell what was a takedown, what wasn't a takedown. You just hear the scores afterwards. And there was an explanation for how the scores happened. It was just like, this guy won. And you had to figure it out on your own.
It's almost like EFED judging a little bit. Like it was kind of a game time decision a little bit, like what counted, what doesn't count.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And talking about Dan, so you said he left after round 1. And that leaving is one of the most controversial leavings in this tournament because he said that the WWE pulled him out. They didn't want him and Shamrock. They didn't want Shamrock in it. They didn't want him to finish being in it. Other people said that he left because he was upset because of how bad he looked, and then other people said that he was injured. So there's so many different stories of why he left this tournament, but I wouldn't doubt if he left because of how bad he looked and he didn't want to make himself maybe
I heard Dan Severn in a shoot interview after the fact, I believe, said he had nothing to prove.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah. He said I had nothing to prove. But some people said that it wasn't that he had nothing to prove, it was he looked so bad he didn't want to be in it anymore because he looked like shit and he didn't want to look like shit anymore. And then someone else said the WWE removed him because they didn't want him to look bad in it.
Well, I bet you that when WWE, like I said, they gave Steve Williams, the guy they wanted to win, the one-eyed man. I was trying to think of who they actually wanted. I believe I guess it would only be a semifinal match, Dan Severn versus Steve Williams. I would have thought that would have been the final match they wanted.
Right?
But speaking of the very final match, which is hilarious because middle school Jimmy didn't know that 8-Ball, the biker guy, like, oh, 8-Ball, that's a cool name. Now in retrospect, 8-Ball is pretty freaking wild to be on air.
I never thought of that because to me, I just always thought of pool, an 8-Ball,
and he's bald.
Yeah, I totally always thought that, probably until just now when you pointed out 8-Ball and I made that
Oh,
connection.
maybe that's more indicative of me then. Oh shit. Oh crap. All right, let that be stricken from the record that I noticed that. His opponent, Flash Funk, I did a little bit of history, and he didn't go into this match as Flash Funk. He was Too Cold Scorpio in this match, billed as. What'd you think? And this, I believe, was the only match that was not shown on TV. This was what you consider like a dark match. But if you go back and watch the highlights, that was a good match. Flash Funk has some fucking fight in him. Yeah, they didn't show that match. They did it as highlights and said earlier tonight. And the YouTube comments even went with it. Did we lose, frankly speaking, your boy Sean Puff? Did you lose me? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Hello? Hey, guys, anybody in the comments? We got like 5 viewers. Anybody? Can you guys hear me? Did we just lose Franklin? Vacant Veil, Black Moon. We could always edit this and post thing. Franklin? Fans? Anybody? Did you lose me? I mean, it says I'm still alive, so I don't know if we lost Franklin. Let me like mute him or like remove him. Yeah, I think we might have lost Franklin, so we'll let him come back. Yeah, Flash Funk was actually not supposed to be in this tournament, so I'm gonna wait for Franklin to get back in here. He should have the comments. I mean, I could continue this whole show by myself, but this is more for him, not me. Let's say a little dead air. Like I said, the comments. Yeah, the comments could help us out. Hello? I mean, I could remove myself. Yeah, Franklin's gone. Yeah, all right. Hey, if any of the fans have some questions to not, because I don't want to lose the discussion that I was having with him. If the fans have any hot takes, like I said, Bart Gunn looked freaking awesome in this. And going back and watching, not only was he heavy, I mean, he did not have slick boxing. Flash Funk actually had some of the slickest boxing I've seen. Actually kind of like doing like a little Philly shell action, really working his jab. Not a lot of people had a good boxing stance, but since there's takedowns, having a upright boxing stance is not the best tactic. Franklin, we lost, or I don't know who the hell you are. Bacon Vale called you Franklin. I don't know what
you lost. We're in the middle of this freaking ridiculous blizzard going on. I know you guys are having it there too, and apparently my internet dropped for a couple minutes. I had to get back on it.
So just like Steve Williams, you got dropped unexpectedly. Hey, it happens.
Right. It fits, right? Fitting time for that.
So, like I said, 8-Ball versus Flash Funk, Too Cold Scorpio. That was the only match that was not shown. And from all extensive purposes, I heard that match was like the best one. They just like, all right, Flash Funk and 8-Ball, like nobody cares about that match. And that was the last one. They wanted to get to the next round. Flash Funk, I don't know if you knew this, just showed up on Raw and they're like, hey, somebody dropped out. Like, we need you. It was never discussed who it was. All right, speaking of that, he admitted that he was high on crack for this match.
I did hear that in the past, and I don't doubt it. I mean, going into a match like this, like, here's what I wonder, right? So, knowing what you just said,
smallest opponent in the too. I think he was the smallest competitor.
But knowing what you just said, did he get asked to be in the tournament and decided, I'm going to go do some crack and then go out on the tournament? Or did he just show up to Raw, not in a match? It was like, I'm going to do some crack before I go in. And they were like, hey, you get in this tournament.
So he didn't go. So that's an interesting thing. So a lot of people, like Lawrence Taylor, would fucking rail lines before a football game. Not just I mean, he'd party last night too. But like RVD is not hitting a bowl before he goes out. Sandman supposedly dropped acid and was still tripping before a match. But I think Too Cold Scorpio handled this shit. I mean, you don't really hear of Too Cold Scorpio, from what I know, having an arrest record or doing anything controversial that the average wrestling fan knows. He's just like, yeah, dude, I partied that weekend. I was on crack, and I fought that match. And he won. He won that match against 8-Ball.
Crack.
And that's from him, not me. I'm not just assuming he smoked crack. He flat out said, now, you never know when people lose matches or whatnot. He obviously didn't win the tournament. He had a match against Godfather. That match probably had some of the slickest boxing. They both just stayed there and didn't really go for takedowns, really, and actually boxed. And the referee the whole time's like, come on, guys, fight. So that shows you that Brawl for All was not meant to be like boxing where you pick your punches. You got to go in there. It's very reminiscent of Rough and Rowdy. If you guys watch Barstools, do you know Barstools Radio? They're on Facebook. You're a Boston. I mean, assumingly, Sean, aren't you from the Boston area? You should know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, like Barstool Sports you're talking about.
Yeah, the pizza guy. You know Dave Portnier, right?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he bought Rough.
Dave Portnier.
You never know. Some people in this business, where you found me from, your boy Sean Puff, we're not really known for being high IQ when it comes down at the end of the day. But they bought a thing which is also it's boxing strictly, but it's 3-1 rounds. Now you brought up Bart Gunn. Bart Gunn didn't necessarily have a boxing background. He just did tough man competitions. You and me could go sign up for tough man competitions. That does not mean we're boxers.
Well, he was considered an amateur boxer.
Yeah,
he was trained.
Yeah, he probably had. I mean, a lot of these people were wrestlers. I think Flash Funk had some wrestle. A lot of these guys probably wrestled at some point in their scholastic career. Probably,
yeah. I bet, like if it was offered in their school, they probably did. I would assume so. But it was still weird to me. Like Too Cold Scorpio being Too Cold Scorpio. This was another one of those situations where guys came out not in their gimmick. You said Mark Canterbury earlier, but at the time, Mark Canterbury was actually not being Henry O. Godwin. He was Mark Canterbury as part of Southern Justice.
Yep.
So he wasn't out of gimmick because his gimmick was just kind of like some country boy. So they
were doing the that was when Jim Cornette was doing the NWA. The Bart Gunn and Bob Holly, they were a tag team, and Jim Cornette, I think it was kayfabe, said if they're going to fight each other, I'm not going to be your manager. So that kind of broke up the tag team. That's what they kind of did with that. Interesting. Like that's a dream match that we never really got, but we kind of did. Flash Funk versus the Godfather. Flash Funk used to come out with the hose. They weren't called hose.
Right.
But
I always thought they would have made a great tag team. When I fantasy book things or when I play in 2K, I will download Flash Funk and I will put Flash Funk and Godfather as a tag team. I think that it was a natural it was just a natural team that somehow never happened.
What was the team name you gave them?
I don't remember.
My favorite team I ever made was Billy Gunn and Zack Ryder.
Okay.
The Ass Riders. I gave them who was the Funkasaurus's two girls? I gave them their little intro with the pom-poms, and they put their that was a pretty crazy entrance. So I changed the settings. I used to actually go to my friend's house where we had a 2K league, and we played all in the same room. And when nobody was there, I made them a tag team and debuted that out of nowhere. It's freaking awesome. All my friends marked out. The Funkettes, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Oh, I think they were called the Funkettes for both people. Funkettes, obviously, for Flash Funk, and Funkadactyls. Funkadactyls.
Yeah, it was the Funkadactyls for Flash for what's his face, but the Funkettes for
So we did go over the first round, minus the biggest match on why we're here. Bart Gunn knocking out Steve Williams. I think we kind of went over it, but yeah, that was and as much as people say JR wanted Bart Gunn to win, his commentary wasn't too subjective going back and watching. I got to give JR a little bit of credit. But they knew this match was obviously big. They did a little tail for the tape. They did the backstage. They had the whole introduction and everything with the lights even more out.
Do you think that they could tell at the time? So round one happens. We go into round two. Do you think that they could tell that this might be a problem for Dr. Death?
He did not look good against the one-eyed guy.
That's what I'm saying.
And honestly, from watching, I don't know if you noticed, what a piece of shit Steve Williams. They start the first round. All right. Ding, ding, ding. And they both go like this, which is legal. It's not illegal. Takedown right away. Steve Williams went for a takedown right away as they're both getting ready to box. So I see you, Steve Williams. Steve Williams got knocked out at the last couple seconds. They both traded. Bart Gunn took down Steve Williams, I think, twice in that match.
I wonder, do you think that Bart Gunn would have won if he didn't knock him out and it went to the score? Do you think Bart Gunn still walked out of there with a win?
I mean, you don't know because WWE wanted Steve Williams to win. They wanted to make a superstar off that. So you never know. I mean, boxing is always known for bullshit decisions. Would that have happened there? I don't know. I mean, the fans were cheering for Bart Gunn, and Bart Gunn looked like the superstar in that match. So who knows? I don't know if there was too many controversial decisions. We saw one overtime round. I forget what match that was. I think that was the only match that had a draw. I don't think there's anything that was too controversial where definitely the wrong guy won, from what I remember in hindsight. If you guys want to go back, almost every match is on YouTube. For anybody that's listening to this now, just type in Brawl for All on YouTube, and you can pretty much watch the whole matches.
But make sure you watch this. I watched it on a string that had every match in order, and I just went down it because I was like, I'm going to watch it again because I haven't watched it in years, and it was way easier than going and finding the Raws it was on and watching the Raw. So it just showed every single match, including the earlier tonight, like in the order they played. So you can go watch it that way if you want to.
And to the fans listening at home, make sure you watch this whole broadcast before you go there. Yeah, I mean, it is there. The only match, it's hard.
Or don't pause it so you can watch it yourself and then come back and listen to the rest of it.
Nah, we're more entertaining. Come on, you buried the Brawl. You buried the Brawl for All at the start of this. Nobody wants to go back and watch the Brawl for All. You're gonna watch us bury the Brawl for All, even though we'll get to that. Stay tuned for the end. We'll talk about the punishment for winning. But yeah. So the second round, we jumped to it a little bit. Actually, that was the start of it. That was not the first round. I think I might have misspoke earlier. Bart Gunn upset. And that was the first knockout. The person and this just shows you booking 101. So Brawl for All is not predetermined at the end of the day. Yes, the judges can finagle, the referee can finagle. So for the guy that was supposed to win, he was the first one knocked out in this tournament. How crazy is that?
Right. It just ruined everything. It ruins your whole plans. And I mean, as Vince used to say, plans change, pal. But that was one of those things that they did not want the plans to change for.
But it did
ruin Dr. Death.
Oh, yeah, he didn't. Not in America. In America. Japan still loved him. But it made the Brawl for All from there on out. There wasn't too much booing after that. But to put the Brawl for over, I know you heard it. That fucking theme song, though, for the Brawl for All.
They had some good theme music back then. The 90s was great for wrestling.
Jim Johnson, man. Shout out to Jim Johnson. Now, not to be confused with the good old Ezekiel Jackson. All right, now, this is the time for proclamation. Sup up and domination, which sampled that theme song when he was in ECW. That was a sick. But Brawl for All theme song was definitely badass.
It was. It absolutely was. Maybe I'll use it in a promo. We're not talking about that, though. That's a whole different show.
So, yeah, you did bring up Mark Merrow came back against Bradshaw. Bradshaw, that's where you got there to see, like, even though we didn't know who JBL was then, you see, like, when I watch this, I see JBL. I flat out see JBL freaking doing that. But, yeah, Bradshaw beat Mark Merrow. Savio Vega versus Draws. That was a good match. And the fans were into it.
They were very into that match. That was, like I said, once you got to round 2, we've already had, 4 shows of matches. So they've kind of got into it. They understand what's going on. Was it 2 shows?
I think it was two matches a show, maybe 3. I think they were kind of the first one. That's why the one show had, I think just, they did the pre-show, the dark match, which, like I said, ended up being one of the best matches. But that's why predetermined against not predetermined, you never know what's going to happen with that. But yeah, Draws won that. And then that was Godfather versus Flash Funk. Like I said, I actually want to see that whole match. I couldn't find that whole match on Facebook or on YouTube.
Yeah, that was the thing. Some of these matches, I was wicked aggravated with it because you couldn't find the whole match. It just picks up like in the middle of it, and I'm like, what? Where's the first 2 rounds?
I hope they showed that on Raw. Maybe we got to go back and watch it. I'll go back and watch it. I mean, 1998 Raw is crazy. Almost every match. That's one thing you don't realize. Like, everyone thinks that's a golden era. There's not that much good wrestling. There's not like any match that's even over 5 minutes. It's like Val Venus is going against Taka Michinoku, and the tying guy comes over and kidnaps him 2 minutes in and chops off his penis. Like,
And
there's a lot of crazy.
That. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff like that when we review some old pay-per-views. We're going to get the opportunity to look at these things that we talk about how great they were and really break it down and look at it with today's eyes. I used to do that when I used to write. I used to do Flashback Friday for GodsHateGeeks.com. And I used to do a lot of looking at them from today's eyes. And there's a lot of things that don't really hit. Comment we got right there, Draws and Savio. Honestly, the best fight of the whole tournament, in my opinion. I feel like a lot of people agree with that. I think you agree with that, Jimmy.
So Draws reminded me of Forrest Griffin. Very sloppy and unpolished, but a good athlete. I mean, Draws played in the NFL. A lot of people in WWE didn't really get to play football. They were backup. Lex Luger, I don't think really did anything. Goldberg got some time. He got some reps. A lot of these football players think, even Ron Simmons, I don't think had reps in the NFL.
Right.
He was a Heisman Trophy winner in college, but yeah, that was a good match. And like I said, the fans popped for a good old-fashioned double leg takedown. But as we get into now the semifinals, the final four was Godfather versus Gunn and Draws versus JBL. I couldn't find JBL versus Draws, I don't think. I believe that was the one I was kind of confused on. Let me see if I had that in my picture. I'm not sure what the other semifinal was. Yeah, Bradshaw versus Draws. I don't know if I got to see that match. So that's another match I need to maybe go back and watch because
go back and rewatch that one. But again, Brad, this match. I think that side of the bracket kind of played out how they wanted it to and how they expected it to. I think Bradshaw going out and beating people up and I feel like Draws was a guy who this was his opportunity to prove himself and I think he did a good job of it. Even though losing to Bradshaw here, I think he came out and proved himself. So sad that guy broke his neck and didn't get to have his full career because I think once he was able to get rid of the puke gimmick, he would have been able to do something.
Oh, he started. I mean, we brought up 8 Ball before. Prince Albert came in as his drug dealer. They got rid of that storyline, but Draws started doing. Hey, that was my very first. So people always talk about like, what's your introduction to EFED? I say everybody's introduction to EFED is when you could create your own character in a wrestling game. And WWF Warzone, I was able to create myself, and I kind of made myself look like Draws. I gave myself those weird pajama shorts, the mesh shirt, and that is where Jimmy Jammz, if you know, was potentially maybe first created.
All right. Listen, Draws had some good gear. I definitely created a guy, and we used that top hat he had. Top hat.
Oh, that picture didn't upload. I had a picture of that. Yeah, he had an interesting late 90s look. Yin Yangs, all the weird aliens and stuff. All the cool stuff you could buy at Spencer's Gifts and everything. He wore. But I mean, is it safe to assume that as much as people are iffy with JBL, people like JBL, but it's okay to take the piss out of JBL. Nobody's going to go out on their soapbox and defend JBL. Most wrestling fans, the IWC, if you will.
Right.
Is it safe to assume that JBL, minus the finals, he did kind of back up a little bit of what he says? As that loudmouth Texan, he did win against 3 other WWF wrestlers at the time. Yeah,
and he did it. It wasn't like, oh, he kind of won, he bullshit won, and they just gave him the win. He went out there and backed up what he said for the most part until he got to Bart Gunn. But I mean, that's probably why he was such a bully. Because when you can go out there and back it up a little bit, you can be a little bit more of a bully in that locker room because people are like, hey, he will knock you up.
But now, not only did Bart Gunn win this, those knockouts, he knocked out those guys clean and bad. He went against Godfather. Godfather bit the canvas and fell into the ropes, knocked out, not knowing where the F he was. Bart Gunn, heavy-handed, lefts and rights. His first knockout with Steve Williams was a left. That was a good old-fashioned right hook that he hit Godfather with.
All of his knockouts were pretty. Like, that's the thing. It wasn't like he came out there and had which is, we'll get into it at the end of, like, once we talk about the finals, but I mean, the guy went out there and did what he was supposed to do, and looked good doing it. Let's be real.
Did you see when he beat Godfather? He went out and cut a promo on JR. Now who's going to disrespect me? Now who's the man? And JR's like, no, hey, nothing's given. You're good. I got you. He didn't know what to do. But like I said, JR was not on the knob of Steve Williams that bad, going back and watching. A lot of people want to say he was. I think he at least called down the middle. JR supposedly kind of was a dick in the backstage area. We're not here to discuss that or anything. But on air, man, he knew kind of how to call it down the middle. And I feel like he did not punish Bart Gunn himself via commentary. He put him over. He's like, that man can fight. He did not try to diminish anything Bart Gunn accomplished there.
Yeah, I think at first, I feel like, he's boys with Dr. Death, right? He's an Oklahoma
guy. They're buddies.
So to come at him because he favored Dr. Death, that's dumb. If any of us, if your boy was in the match, you're going to root for your boy.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. He came out there and he called it down the middle. And after the fact, yeah, he probably leaned a little bit in favor of Dr. Death. But at the end of the day, he didn't diminish what Bart Gunn did. If anything, he was like, yo, he just knocked my boy out. You better watch out for this guy.
I've watched kind of like when Undertaker. So instead of comparing it to UFC, where my mouth just drops, when Anderson Silva beat Rich Franklin, that was when I got into UFC, and I didn't know how to react. I was just kind of like when Undertaker lost to Brock Lesnar. There's no silence. JR did react. JR did call that knockout. JR was not shocked. It was not thrown off his game. And you can see it because Steve Williams went for a takedown. I think he injured his leg, which obviously anybody that was rooting for him will say that is why he lost. But as somebody that wrestled in high school and watched my friends that were wrestlers get in fights, they're all good. They can all fight, but a lot of them don't know how to throw punches and have that killer instinct. There's something about fighting. Even when you throw on gloves, that's different than a bare knuckle fight, but fighting's very interesting. You could do everything right and duck the wrong way as somebody hits you and you're out.
Facts. And when you're in fights like this, the rules are different. This wasn't like wrestling rules or boxing rules. So you could do different things that you couldn't really do in a boxing match. You couldn't get on top of the guy and wrap him up and start punching him. You don't get points for that. You get
that is something I would like to see, and we'll discuss this at the end. If we were to change the rules, I would love to see submissions. But like you were saying, you can't go up in a nice upright boxing like you're one of those Irish guys because you're leaving your legs to get taken down in this Brawl for All competition. So you had to kind of get a little bit lower and be ready for a takedown, which does bring us to the main event with Bart Gunn versus JBL. And this is interesting. If you go back and watch it, he knocked him down. Bradshaw is out on his feet. And this showed why WWF referees should not have been the referees. He goes up to him. He's like, yo, Bradshaw, you good? And he looks at him like he's drunk. Yeah. And then Bart Gunn fucking rocked his world, and he knocked him out real bad.
Yeah, he might have been concussed after that. I don't know if it's been talked about, but man, Bart Gunn made you could not walk out of that and say, "Well, that was rigged." Bart Gunn made there was no exception, no excuse. He went out there and knocked.
And like you said, a lot of people like to bury the Brawl for All. This tournament could have been so much worse if there was no knockouts. Bart Gunn had 3 out of 4 knockouts. UFC would love that. If somebody was trying to make somebody a superstar, wow, you're going to knock out 3 highlight reel knockouts out of 4 fights? Yeah, you're awesome. We'll pay you whatever money you want.
Right. So let's get into that now. So now we've been through the Brawl for All. We talked about what happened. Now let's talk about where everything went wrong. So I don't think that it was horrible because of the Brawl for All itself, right? I think it was horrible because it wasn't planned well. They didn't really know how to adjust and make moves, and they didn't capitalize on what came out of it. That's why I think it's so bad for wrestling. That's why I think it was done so horribly, just because of all those little things, like not being specific on what was going down, how it was supposed to happen, and letting everybody really know what to do. I think it hurt for the fans. I think it hurt for the participants because you had guys going into this, and if they didn't fully understand the rules, you put them in a position where these injuries probably happened because these guys are expecting something that it wasn't what it was because they were just like, we'll just do this and figure it out. You guys are wrestlers. You'll be fine. And when you're in a competition like that, especially when you're like, we're not going to fix this. You guys are just going to go out and fight and you'll be good. You just open up a whole Pandora's box of problems that could have been avoided if they had done it properly.
So you talk about nobody had a blueprint for what to see there. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember slam ball, trampoline basketball?
I do.
On Spike TV. That guy was doing that sport for a good 5 years before it came to TV. Brawl for All was just made up, maybe by Vince Russo, which is scary right there. And Vince Russo is the guy that gets credit for Brawl for All, which we didn't really touch upon. But the word you're looking for is there was no payoff for Bart Gunn winning that Brawl for All. He won it. I believe was taken off by like Quang or somebody. I think it was somebody was a masked man. I don't know if it was Terry Gordy or Steve Williams. ChatGPT down below. There's some homework for people. Somebody like threw him off the Titantron, and I don't think he showed back up till WrestleMania 15. There was no payoff. He won the Brawl for All with 3 highlight round knockouts. I mean, Big Show had the...
And they punished him. It was nuts.
Big Show had the weapon of mass destruction, which makes sense. So you could have Bart Gunn just going out there knocking people out. That would make sense. And they did nothing with it. They took him off TV. Now, I don't know if he got hurt. Like you said, a lot of people legitimately got hurt during this.
I don't know if that's why they took him out, but from everything that I've heard, it was punishment. And when you look when he came back, they put him against Butterbean to punish him again, and it was dumb.
So based on you, I mean, what is the overall like? Who controlled the booking at that time? Right, it's Russo and Vince for the most part.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. And Russo was just kind of like getting into anything he could because, God, Russo was a character. Here's another little side thing. I happen to be my collegiate fraternity is Sigma Tau Gamma, which is actually the same collegiate fraternity as Vince Russo, just in different chapters. I think he went to Syracuse, maybe, but he went to a different chapter. But where I did not fraternity brothers.
I didn't make it past community college, or county college, not community. Are you allowed to? I don't know if this breaks rules. I don't know about frat rules. Did you hear any stories about Vince Russo from his frat days?
No, because he didn't go to my school. I didn't know him or anything like that. And no one that I knew him. I just know that we're the same college fraternity. My college fraternity had 126 chapters around the country.
So one thing I heard about John Cena, he went to some D3 school, and one of my wrestling coaches went to school with him. And there was a girl that said, if I went to the Olympics, if I make it to the Olympics, I will allow you to – no. You have to let me shit on your chest. And supposedly that happened. Yeah. You heard it here first on Spot Super Kick Monkeys Spectacular that John Cena let some girl shit on his chest in college.
I wouldn't doubt it. John Cena's still afraid of me. He's been dodging me for like 10 years.
Yo, what? You got heat with Cena?
I've been calling Cena out on my show forever, and he never answers me. I've worked with his dad, though.
Oh, yeah. His dad's fucking hilarious. That's crazy that his brother and his dad have spots in WWF, which kind of is like Cena's definitely not pulling for them too much. That almost shows that Cena is not as cool as he should be. Like he should look at Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle got his brother some spots in wrestling from here and there.
His dad's very involved in the indie scene up here in Massachusetts, right? So I ring announce for New England Ring Gladiators in New Bedford, and Showcase does some work with him as well. So he's come down and done some stuff with us. I've got to introduce John Cena Sr. And the funniest thing was he came up to me and says, one thing I got to tell you, make sure you say John Cena Sr. because the other guy will sue me and I don't want to get sued.
That's funny. And that's Cena's the middle child. So for him to be the junior, and that's pretty crazy that John Cena never refers to himself as junior. What an ass Cena is.
Right.
Cena's very weird. So if you ever, not to get on a side tangent, I do apologize, but if you ever watched the E show, what was that? The Bella show, I think he was on. If Cena's not playing a character, and that's really him, he is really weird. Cena is a weird guy. I'm just going to throw it out there. So you know what, John Cena? Now that you're retired, how about you come e-fed me and your boy over here, Sean Puff? You puss. Come on, Boston Mass. How about them apples?
He's afraid.
I'm sorry.
I'm the guy from Boston. Screw that guy. Vince Russo's afraid of me. Everyone's afraid of me. I was talking e-fed. I know we're not supposed to go e-fed, but talking e-fed, I was supposed to at one of the Mania shows that I was doing, I was supposed to go one-on-one in a promo battle against Vince Russo. They sent it to him. They were going to do a cameo with him, and they paid it. They sent him everything, and he returned the money and declined it.
Oh, what?
Yeah, Vince Russo is afraid of me.
Now you're never getting him. I honestly always said, even if he's not the true booker, put that man as your on-screen booker just to generate heat. And Juggalo Wrestling Order, or whatever the hell they're called, now he's there, so you'll never see Vince Russo, at least in another 10 years if he's unemployed. But he's doing good now. Good shout out to Vince. But so
anyway,
back to
the topic.
Yeah, so back to Brawl for All. So Bart Gunn wins the goddamn thing, and they had nothing for him after. I don't know, because the whole thing was for Steve Williams to win and fight Stone Cold. That was the overall idea. It was to highlight Steve Williams. They just thought he would do takedowns. Oh, he's a college wrestler, and he'll figure it out. And then he could go against Stone Cold, do the job to Stone Cold, and we'll blammo. And this is something that could have worked, because in 1998, going back, Stone Cold didn't really have a lot of good counter until The Rock came out as the corporate guy. Stone Cold went against Undertaker, Kane, and Dude Love. Those are not like your typical bad guy heels that can work with a Stone Cold.
Right. There's not a lot of story to tell there, because they're not those stories. They're more, I don't want to say work rate, but they're more of your match guys than your let's go tell a great story with Kane. You can do it, but it's not really
which they did.
And they did, absolutely. But it just, yeah, they could have put someone else in there. It would have worked great with Steve Williams. I think they made this they set it up so that it would work great for him, right? By making it so that every takedown's 5 points, most punches in a round is only 5 points, and a knockdown is 10 points. You got to literally, to be a boxer, you got to just be landing punches and knocking people down, right? Because if you're taking someone that can do takedowns, they are naturally, on paper, going to win. The way that this tournament was set up, they just didn't actually look at the realism of it and realize how it was actually going to work. And they didn't have anything to do with it. Like you said, this was built for, we're going to use this to build Dr. Death, and then we can put him against Stone Cold and we can do that feud. But there was nothing of, well, what if he doesn't win, since this isn't staged, since it's not booked to have a winner, right? What if he doesn't win? What do we do with the winner? So you have this fight to prove who's the toughest guy, and then you don't have anything to do with the toughest guy because you didn't have a plan for it if it didn't work the way that you wanted it.
Well, unfortunately, in wrestling, you can be the best athlete, but you got to be able to cut a little bit of a promo. Billy Gunn can be out there and be charismatic, as he was the one flirting with Sonny. I don't know if you remember the Smoking Guns back in the day. Whenever there was time to have a story, it was Billy. Bart was just, he was the hand. He was the one that tags Billy for the hot tag. He was the guy that gets in there and does all the work, and then you tag Billy in for the hot tag. They had no idea Bart Gunn was going to be the guy to win this, and it does suck. They had nothing planned for him. He managed to take it and make money in Japan a little bit, but in WWE, he really had nothing besides getting thrown off the Titantron and then getting his WrestleMania 15 punishment treatment. So I went back. I didn't know. I was like, is it actually a Brawl for All match? Like, was it just boxing? It was a Brawl for All match.
Yeah, it was a Brawl for All
WrestleMania
match,
15.
Which was kind of, but again, dumb. Why are we doing this? You have a guy that just went out there and made himself. You gave him an opportunity. He made himself. Like, talk about grabbing the brass ring. He went out there and grabbed the brass ring. That no one expected him to do what he did, and he went out there and did it, and he did it in an amazing fashion. and then get shat all over for it.
And put him in a match. Yes, Butterbean had a movie scene with Jackass. He is a freak show fighter, but he's done that freak show like 300 times. And if you look at his record, knockouts, even if they're 4 rounds, he knocks out everybody. And once again, size advantage. And Bart Gunn never went for a takedown. Bart Gunn started believing his own hype there. Bart Gunn went for takedowns in the Brawl for All. Now you have a boxer, a guy that has probably no wrestling. I mean, Butterbean actually did start training for MMA. I don't know when he started training in jiu-jitsu and wrestling. I don't think so in 1999, which would have been WrestleMania 15. But Bart Gunn had no intentions of taking a takedown. He went in there, cut his hair, was ready for a boxing match, and then Butterbean knocked him out clean, and Brawl for All was ended right there. Completely, finally.
Right. And so you got to look at this, too. Do you think that if he beat Butterbean, they would have bounced off of it and gave him something to do?
Nope, it wouldn't have been until WrestleMania 16 when they're like, all right, let's give you like Mike Tyson now. They would have went a full year. It would have been once in a lifetime, but it's once in a lifetime because they have no idea what to do, and they would have probably waited an entire year, be like, all right, let's give you Mike Tyson now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I really
To
think
be
you're right.
fair, to play devil's advocate, looking at Bart Gunn, knowing the tools, he's not the most marketable guy. You would really have to put a lot of smoke and mirrors on him. But he won the Brawl for All with 3 vicious knockouts. Make him a knockout superstar. Give him the weapon of mass destruction, the punch, even if technically, I mean, wrestling, closed fist is illegal, which is always weird that Big Show got away with it. But, hey, it's wrestling. But find a way to make it make sense.
Right. And match it with somebody. Whatever. He doesn't have the charisma to be that guy, but you've got voice pieces. You got mouthpieces there that you could put him with. You had people at the time that were managers that you could have put him with. You could have got him over.
Jim Cornette said, "I don't want to." Jim Cornette said, "I don't want to be the tag. I don't want to manage the tag team." The moment he lost, and Jim Cornette kind of had nothing after this. Put him back with Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette was literally his manager.
Right.
Hey, I don't want to do you guys as a team.
You could have played this. You could have put him back with Jim Cornette, and then they attack Bob Holly, and you get a little program with them fighting each other, right? Because Bob Holly was a tough guy too, so you could have had a good little feud with the two of them that really put him over, knock out Bob Holly in their match, and just leave him laid out at the end of the whole feud, and now you build a guy, maybe not world championship guy, but absolutely a Intercontinental champion down the road.
Give him a pay-per-view. And this is one thing I like that I equated to EFED or just anything. You have these guys that they're not main eventers, but they elevate themselves so much. Do you remember when Ron Simmons as Farouk, he got a world title shot against Undertaker at a pay-per-view? These guys, they elevate at a certain time where they can almost main event a pay-per-view. They don't win it or whatever, but Ken Shamrock went against Shawn Michaels in late 1997, main evented a pay-per-view. You get these guys to a certain level where at least you get a little bit of a return on investment and have them challenge the world champion and lose. John Cena had a couple of those before he was a good guy. He was a bad guy, went against Brock Lesnar and said, yo, you finishes the F5? Well, mine's the FU. And you can come out of that shit still making more stuff for your character. In wrestling, you don't need to win everything. In wrestling, you can lose and still elevate your character. And Bart Gunn, they had no way to elevate him after Brawl for All. He knocked out Bradshaw. That was the highlight. That was the peak of his career. Unfortunately.
Let's talk about. So we've talked about what they did wrong. Why it's been thought about is so bad, right? We broke it down that it's not really as bad as it really was. I guess I can't say it's the worst stain on wrestling after this show anymore because we just disproved that statement.
Hey, welcome to the Jimmy experience. Welcome to the Jimmy experience. Thank you.
But now let's talk about if they did something like this today. Because let's be honest, from what we've talked about today, it wasn't the worst thing because of the concept. It was the worst thing because there was not really any planning behind how it should have been put together, how the scoring should have happened, how they should have framed it, and there was nothing to come out for the winner, so there was no payoff for it. That's the two biggest things. Everything else you can work around. If you put everything together right, you don't even have all the injuries you have, because if you understand the competition more, these guys that went in the first round and got injured don't get injured because they understand what they're getting into and they can plan for it and prepare better.
You train, you got to stretch. All these guys were over the age of 30 that are probably in this. These were guys that aren't starting out their careers. They're like, wow, I am really in a flux of my career, and this can help me get back on track. I believe now, if you caught it, which I have a feeling you probably didn't, and I don't know this ahead of time, and we're doing a whole show where we talk about this, I believe the winner only got $50,000, and I don't know if that's a kayfabe number.
I think so. I think that's...
Is that crazy that we're doing a whole show and none of us did our homework on that? We probably should have had that one ready, but...
Well, I think because it was one of those things where they didn't have anything ready. So
I think they said it once. Honestly, I think they said it once or twice. I think they said it once or twice and never brought it up again. Probably, but regardless, it's about investing in yourself. By winning that, you could have made yourself. And some of this falls on Bart Gunn, as in politicking backstage and maximizing your minutes when you're on air. I mean, like I said, he knocked out Godfather and went to JR and cut a promo. And it's not bad. It was only like 10 seconds, but...
So, again, take this with a grain of salt. This is what ChatGPT looked up. The documented payout for the winner of Brawl for All was real money, and it says that the winner got $75,000 for winning the tournament, and the runner-up got $25,000 for making it to the finals.
Ooh.
So,
do you think JBL invested that money, and that's how he became the stock market king?
And Bart Gunn did it. So let's fantasy book this today. Let's
So that's why I had a feeling you were going. So we're doing it now, and this is 1998, where there's a lot of time frames where you could have booked it then, but you're saying maybe book it now, now, 2026.
And let's say this. Let's say we don't use any specific roster. If you had to take, what did it start with? 8 guys we started with?
Oh, 16. 16 was actually the big number.
So let's go with. Let's do the 16 guys. So 16 guys for a 4-round tournament. Who would be the 16 that we would put in?
Ooh, that's a good. I was not ready for that. And you're saying you can kind of reach out like Mark Zuckerberg's like, hey, pro wrestlers, I will finance, and I want to put this on Facebook or something.
Shane McMahon and Vince say we're gonna do Brawl for All.
Ooh.
I'm trying to get back in the wrestling.
Yo, Vince is gonna get crazy. Yo, Vince is not dead. Hey, time out. Full disclosure, guys, audience listening at home. Vince McMahon is still alive. This guy made the XFL. He's about to get exonerated. You have not seen Vince McMahon's last stand. No. I want everyone to realize that Vince McMahon is alive, and you have not seen Vince McMahon's last stand. That guy literally sped away from cops and did not get any kind of arrested. Regardless at what you think of Vince, he politicked his way out of getting locked up in jail. There's a cop camera of watching him speed away from the cops, and he didn't get a speeding ticket.
No.
I don't even know what tickets he got, but he didn't get arrested. Oh, God. That's some good shit, pal.
Hair, Jimmy. That's why he was. Listen, you don't poop in a girl's hair and then tell her to continue to give your friend fellatio while you go take a shower if you don't know that you can get away with some shit. You don't even try.
We want to bury elites. Vince has probably done some crazy shit and he throws it out there. He didn't try to hide it, but once again, this is not a Vince McMahon subject. So before we fantasy book this, are we critiquing the rules? Are we switching the rules a little bit?
I think so. I think in order for it to be successful, right, we'd have to change some of the rules. Maybe change some of how the scoring's done. 1 minute. I don't know how I feel about a minute, maybe a minute and a half. I think you got to have a little bit more time.
You have to remember, this is 1998. They were not beating. They were kind of beating WCW at the time, but not like a landslide. So that could be very detrimental. Now they're the kings. They can do whatever they want. They could protect. So like you said, Vince comes back to WWE. TKO's like, you know what? We own at UFC. Yeah, we'll greenlight this. I think submissions is definitely, and longer. I think longer time rounds. If we're going to have this be legit, these guys are athletes. The 1 minute round is Tough Man for people like me. I can go sign up for Tough Man. And I would love for me to have at least one round where you guys get to see me boxed. Now, I'm dying of a heart attack in the second round, but the first round, you guys would be like, all right, Jimmy's kind of legit. Still, at the wrong side of 30, you guys would be like, all right, Jimmy's kind of legit. But I would like to see submissions. Now, you would have to probably make the gloves smaller. I hate that UFC has the finger gloves. Eye pokes are a thing. I don't know if I want to see that, but maybe something that comes over. And this is good for TKO to test the waters. I mean, let's be honest. There's a sport where you get to slap each other. I'd rather watch Brawl for All than fucking slap. I'm going to be honest with you. Slap is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Dana White said, I don't want Kimbo Slice because that's a freak show. And this is, once again, I don't want to go back to EFED, but we're an hour and a half in, so anyone listening to this might be an EFED fan. It's all about capping. It's all about capping. And when Dana White said, oh, Kimbo's like a freak show, it's because he didn't have him. He wasn't one of his superstars. The moment he got Kimbo on he could sign Kimbo, he did it. And for a man that says he doesn't like freak show and then to endorse slap is utterly ridiculous. I'd rather see Brawl for All anyway, but I would like to see a way to have smaller gloves and maybe incorporate submissions and longer rounds. But the takedowns, I would like to see a little bit more grappling. But at that point, it becomes UFC. But maybe is that what we want to see? Do we want to see wrestlers do MMA? A lot of people wanted to see John Cena do MMA for a long time, and he said he would never do it. And we got to see CM Punk do it. And this is also, not to cut you off, but I want to go on a rant here.
No, go ahead.
Everybody says CM Punk's fucking career was horrible in UFC. It really was bad, right? The person he debuted against, Mickey Gall, beat a lot of good blue chippers. He beat what the heck was that guy? A pretty guy. I could Google his name later. And then he went against another guy, Michael Jackson was the guy's name. Very funny. During that time, WWE sued CM Punk. CM Punk could not train at regular hours for that match. He had to train at night with one person, and it was not a good fight. And CM Punk, for some reason, had long hair, which in fighting, and Bart Gunn had this too, so we'll go back to Brawl. When you're boxing, you have long hair, and this happens, you got to go like this. If you're boxing, this is the stupidest thing to do, to play with your hair. Are you kidding me? And CM Punk didn't look that good, but it would be very interesting to see 2026 wrestlers show up for this. So obviously let's
take the scoring part real quick before because I feel like you're about to jump into it and get into that.
Oh, we're about to. I'm always about to. I like where you're going.
But I think we got to say I like the idea of most points in a round.
Mm-hmm.
You get 5 points. Maybe instead of 5
Continue.
points for takedown, 5 points for most takedowns in a round. Instead of just every time you get a takedown, it kind of makes you not just like takedown. It gives you two sides to try to get your points from. I love the addition of submissions. I think a minute and a half is good because we don't want to, like you brought up the point of, do we want to just make it a UFC fight? And I think no. I think we have to have, and you probably missed half of what I just said because you had your headphones off. But you brought up the point of, we don't want it to be UFC, do we? And I think if we make it go 3 minutes, it's now a UFC fight. So I think a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes at the most, right? 5 points for most takedowns, 5 points for most punches. You can win by a submission. Something like that. Kind of find that like happy medium where we're not just stacking it for one person to win, and we're opening up the competition for people to do some other things. I think that would be. I don't know how that sounds to you.
So what it sounds like to you, and what we have to remember, the whole thing that brought us here. Yes, we could have wrestlers do UFC or MMA. That's not what we're here for. We are saying Brawl for All revisited in 2026. So you want to make sure it's a hybrid rules. I think boxing gloves, I would like to see there's ones that go over your fingertips, and a lot of people might not realize how integral that is, but I would like to see a little bit of groundwork. I mean, pro wrestling is a work, but it's a form of pancrase. Pancrase is already its own thing, so I still want to see people be able to knock out. You got to be able to knock people out in this Brawl for All, so you have to make sure that you can punch a mofo in the face. I would like to see a little bit of groundwork. Submissions would be interesting, but then people are going to work hard. Everybody knows jiu-jitsu now. Even if you don't watch UFC or you've been trained, a lot of people know a little bit more groundwork from just watching this stuff. But they figure out the rules. They figure out, all right, this is fighting. This is a brawl. It's not mixed martial arts. You don't have to be trained. Now we get to it, and we can do 8 or 16. Now that we've established some rule changes, like I said, gloves, I would like to see some groundwork, But if the referees want to say takedown and stand them back up, longer rounds, maybe 2-minute rounds. In 2026, who are we putting in that tournament? And this can incorporate all wrestling, even outside. You could put 1 or 2 people maybe from outside wrestling. Wrestling is entertainment, sports entertainment.
This is one guy right here. I'm wearing a shirt, Matt Riddle. I wore a shirt for that reason. I think Matt Riddle would be a great guy to put into
obviously, that guy's he's a UFC. He's a former UFC. He did very good in the tough competition, the Ultimate Fighter. He's had a lot of his losses in his last MMA career were overturned because he smoked weed, which I don't know anybody that smokes weed. I don't think weed really makes you a better fighter.
No.
So that's very weird. Hey, if somebody tests for cocaine, first off, that means you're doing cocaine within 2 days of doing your match, which is pretty wild. Like somebody could have got high like a month ago as Sean Puff. Now you get it. Sean Puff also very problematic in 2026. Having a name as Sean Puff, fair little ditty problematic.
Things, I got this nickname in college, and 20 years ago, Puffy was a great nickname. Now, this guy. Quick story, and then we'll get right back to it. I went to a city council meeting here in New Bedford, and the president of the city council knows me very well. So I walk into the chambers of city council, and the president's sitting up in his president's seat, and I walk in, and he says, "Hey, what's up, P. Diddy?" And I had to be like, "Dude, no, never say that again. Do not call me that ever."
So as a Hulkamania, and Hulkamania is not dead, but like they got shot like 7 times, and I don't know if Hulkamania got to shoot back. So they're a little bit in the 50 Cent department. On top of that, P. Diddy did say bad boy for life. I don't know if it's good to be a bad boy anymore. It's not a bad boy for life. It's not good. You don't want to be a bad boy right now.
Not right now. But so we got Matt Riddle, right?
Matt Riddle is very good. And I thought I had a picture of Matt Riddle. They had the picture that I had. When I was looking for Brawl for All pictures to throw in the back, Samoa Joe was in the back.
There's a guy.
And you got to give Brock Lesnar, and this is where a lot of people hate on Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar sells for a lot of people. As much as you want to, he loves wrestling. Finn Balor and Daniel Bryan, he sold for those guys. He liked working with them. Samoa Joe, he let him put him in a rear naked choke. A lot of people don't give Brock, and obviously now I said Brock. Brock should not be allowed to touch that competition. Samoa Joe could be. I don't think I want Brock in this competition. Brock Lesnar should not be in this competition. But Brock's old, though. But Brock is old.
Yeah, so I think Brock in that competition, people have a chance. And I'll tell you this. I think Brock wouldn't want to be in it because it leaves him too much open to let his mystique and his let me show what I want to cause problems if he gets knocked out in the Brawl for All 2.
If we're fantasy booking, we need the sweetest pot where, all right, people that are main event that are doing their thing, they might not like CM Punk. CM Punk is somebody that could be in it, but he knows that he's old. Hey, I don't need to do this. I could talk myself into any main event. That guy obviously doesn't spend his money. That guy comes in wearing freaking vacant veil, if you know, wears better clothes than sometimes CM Punk. CM Punk looks a legitimate bum sometimes. So CM Punk probably has his money. So I don't think CM Punk or Brock should really touch that, but I do like Samoa Joe. I think Samoa Joe is good. So I like Riddle and Joe.
I got one for you. Xavier Woods.
So Xavier Woods, I mean, this is a guy that started his career off as an Apollo Creed fan. So that guy's got boxing. And not to once again, when we said Savio Vega's spicy, I could get in trouble here, but you saw Flash Funk do a lot of Philly shell in his boxing stuff. I have a feeling that Xavier Woods, he would have that explosivity to make sure that he's not getting fired. And he's a smaller guy and he's shorter. Xavier Woods is maybe 5'10" in real life.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
And this is a good one from Vacant Veil. I didn't even mean to shout you out, so I hope you caught that. Nakamura. Now, Nakamura is a guy that has done a little bit of mixed martial arts. He has an MMA record. I would love to see Nakamura. But the thing is, this
Go ahead.
Well, Nakamura, so the whole Nakamura being all weird and electricity, that won't work. So when we like Nakamura, he's not going to do a lot of his entertainment. You won't see like this is not to get on a side tangent. So I remember in 2014, this is when I started dating my wife. Sami Zayn had a match with Nakamura, and I remember I was watching a pay-per-view, and somebody's like, "Yeah, I made my wife watch the Nakamura and Sami Zayn fight." And she's like, "Oh, that was really bad." I turned around, made my wife watch that match. She's like, "Yo, Nakamura and Sami Zayn are freaking awesome." That match in NXT, if you guys remember that match, such a crazy match. That match made me fall in love with Nakamura, but Nakamura wouldn't be able to.
My girl loved Nakamura. She's a big Shinsuke fan.
And
that might have been the match that she watched that she loved it.
You never know. That was a star-making performance. Nakamura is on the tail end of his career, but if you're trying to get yourself in the Hall of Fame, and like, hey, as you get old, like Michael Irvin, Emmett Smith, Troy Aikman, they get to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Tom Brady, because they put everything out in there, and they did not have something that somebody could diminish them. Like right now, Michael Jordan was living a good life, and in the news, Michael Jordan did a little something suspect, which hurts him, but I think he's in. I don't think there's anything weird. The internet just likes to. But Nakamura entering this competition could put the fucking stamp on the King of Hardstyle by winning that. So I think Nakamura is a great entry to this tournament.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. It would change. It would switch it up because I think that might have been something that was missing, right? You didn't have anyone that was bringing that martial arts style. Like Kama kind of had that, but he wasn't like really the martial arts guy.
Nobody knew what martial arts was then, really. It was Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris was martial arts then.
You're right.
Which was also on WWE product then.
But Tama Tonga, I don't know, maybe, but let's save on him because I think there's some other guys that we can put in.
Yeah, Tama Tonga is not frontline, and to be honest, if you put a lineup, I don't know which Tama Tonga you're talking about. I know there's two Tonga brothers from NJPW. I for $1 million, I don't think I could distinguish which one. Is that the Yaga, or is that the other one? Is that the guy who goes yeah?
It's the one that wasn't injured, not the one that got injured.
The one that botches a lot. It's not the one that botches a lot.
Yeah, not him. The other one.
And I think he might be related to Ming. Obviously, Ming's a little too old for this tournament. I mean, he would never do it.
I think they're Ming's kids. Those are Ming's kids.
One of them's adopted. So here's a name that would, at this age, kill it, but he wouldn't do it. Randall Keith Orton. But he wouldn't do it. I don't think he would do it. He would. There's nothing to gain. And this is a good example. There's a lot of people that would want to enter this to raise their stock. Randy Orton, I don't think could really raise his stock in this. And that's really what this tournament comes out to, because this is not, once again, this is not predetermined. You would join this to raise your stock or give yourself that Hall of Fame. Randy Orton's a fucking first ballot Hall of Famer. Randy Orton, I don't think would need this, but Randy Orton is a big man. A lot of people forget how big of a dude Randy Orton is still.
I think you'd get a lot of indie guys if this was something that was opened up, like it wasn't done through WWE and just like someone did it on their own.
We established that.
Like Mansour, I could see him getting involved in that.
So I don't really pay attention to the indie scene. Anybody you want to give a rub to that we're theoretically doing 16 people. So
right. See, I don't know. I'm not a huge indie guy either, but I'm sure there are some of those guys that would say, "Hey, I'll go get in this tournament." Because I mean, let's be real. A lot of those guys like tubes and
they can take the punishment. They don't care.
They're like, "Go ahead, knock me out. I don't care."
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So with that being said, who's the one guy? Not Necro Butcher. Who's the guy that fought Jericho in AEW, went through the glass? He's a big backyard guy. White guy, shaved head. What the hell's his name?
The guy from I can't think of his name right now. What the hell is his name? I can't.
Missing teeth. And he went against Jericho in the see, look at that, Necro Butcher. I didn't even see that. Nick Gage.
There we go. I knew Amy was gonna come through with that. Nick Gage. Yeah, Nick Gage. I could see him doing it. He's a guy that would be like, yeah, I'll go out there and do the brawl for all. Absolutely. And he'd probably be on coke.
And like I said, going back and watching Brawl for All, you see Hardcore Holly go against Bart Gunn. Bart Gunn knocked out 3 people bigger than Hardcore Holly. And Hardcore Holly didn't get knocked out. So even in a loss, you could still look legitimate. And Nick Gage, he has a library of content. Now, he's at the tail end of his career, but to get his name out there, and like you said, these underneath guys signing up for this. Look at Bart Gunn. Bart Gunn, nobody expected to win. So you get yourself in this 2026 Brawl for All tournament, you could make your career out of it. And now there's social media. Bart Gunn couldn't go post on Facebook, yeah, what's up, JR? Just knocked out your boy. Fuckface. What are you going to do? You can't do that anymore.
Right. That's the thing. You get some of these young guys that are fighters. Ooh. Like how about Speedball?
Well, it's funny you say Speedball because we have a message about Low-Key. Speedball has a very big martial arts background. Now Low-Key's getting a little old in his day, but
I feel like Low-Key might be a little bit like past his time to get him into this tournament.
And that might be more hype. Low-Key, I think, knows how to position himself where people think he's more badass than he is. Speedball, though, Speedball could make a whole career. Oh, time out. Time the fuck out, Sean Puff. So we're doing this Brawl for All competition. Are we allowing any forms of kicks?
I mean, there's no rule against it, right? It just wasn't used.
It wasn't used in the initial Brawl for All, but like low kick, maybe just low kicks, waist or below, no high kicks.
High kicks. I mean, I guess no high kicks because now again, we don't want to become MMA, right?
Mm-hmm. So no. You don't want this is Brawl. This is still at its heart a Brawl for All competition.
Can you do knees? Are we allowing knees?
No, knees and elbows, no, because that cuts people. Like working the tie, especially when people are tied. That's another thing that people don't realize. If I'm getting a fight with somebody, I box somebody for like a minute, and we're tired and we're grappling, I am working the plum clinch, and I'm gonna knee you in the fucking jaw so hard that you won't even think that's a tactic that's allowed to be used. Elbows and knees, people wouldn't even think about. But like you said, we don't want to get too much into UFC. I would like to see maybe kicks, but kicking has always been associated with girlish tactics. So I think for Brawl for All, maybe not let kicks, and I think that would hurt speed.
Hear me out. Mm-hmm. If you could set somebody up with a left-right combo and then step back and land a super kick, that'd be kind of sick.
So Sean Puff, you and me, we get a chance. All right, you know what, Jim? You're fat. Nobody wants to fight you. If I fight you and I hit 3 low kicks to your shin, that hit, and you're like, ow. You actually say ow. If I throw that 4th kick, where are you blocking?
Right. Down low.
And I throw high, you're fucking knocked out. That's why I will never. If I, like, honestly, there's some people in our realm, and once again, to reference EFED, I have a couple years left on the ticket. I can't go past a round. 3 1-minute rounds is cool. If there's head kicks allowed, I'm not doing it. Because once I'm tired and gassed, I'm afraid for my life. If somebody hit me with a high kick to the temple, that's brain damage for the rest of my life. If somebody jabbed me and hooked me, and I'm like, oh my God, I'll just go to the ground and be like, yeah, I'm done. You got me. Maybe you knock me out. It's a punch, but a kick to the head, So I think no kick.
Does that take Shinsky off the table if we're like taking away high kicks?
But he's still trained.
No high kicks, that's a lot of what he does.
It is. So his gimmick is a lot of kicks, but that is a man that's trained. But I think for the sake of Brawl for All, I would like low kicks. I would really like low kicks. But then you go,
we can do
there's kicks to the legs, but a front kick to the belly. That is one of the most underrated tactics. I don't like using leg kicks. But if you're standing in the traditional boxing stance and you do a kick, I hope nobody memes that. Good thing this is an audio thing. If you saw that, I did a little kick to the stomach. That is very dangerous. A lot of people think when you're going like this in a high boxing stance, you do that front kick to the belly. That's what knocked Kimbo out. I brought up Kimbo before. Seth Petzarelli did a little teat kick to the guy's belly and did the most bullshit fucking jab or cross. I don't even know what it was. And knocked Kimbo slice out. The king of the streets. Kimbo got knocked out by a teat kick and then a soft-ass punch as he was coming in. Ooh, Kimbo would have been good, but Kimbo
at the right time, it'll happen.
Anybody outside the realm of wrestling that could find a way to fit into this, you think?
Well, I still think there's still a lot of wrestlers we haven't even.
I don't know, well, you're gonna say like Gronk or Jake Paul shouldn't jump in this. Gronk would be very good. Paul would be devastating.
Jake Paul would have to be in it, and Logan Paul would probably be in it too.
Oh yeah, you know what? I think Logan Paul's a good one to pencil in.
How about a guy like Austin Theory?
A big guy, a lot of people don't realize that's a bigger guy. It doesn't always translate on camera. He's younger. And once again, what I think at its very base minimum, Brawl for All is people that are kind of stuck in the mid card. I don't want to say he's a mid carder because he's part of the vision
there right now, though.
But that is not a guy that is ready to get elevated to the end of the card on a WrestleMania. Unless Seth Rollins comes back and his dance partner is a big main eventer, Austin Theory, and he needs something. I feel like this could, right now, you could be watching Austin Theory at the height of his career. If the vision does not play out the way he needs to play out, he will never be in this spot potentially again. So Austin Theory is a man that could punch his ticket, as the cool kids say. There's some big name. So Max, I assume he seems MJF. I don't think MJF. He says Max.
Mox. That says Mox.
Oh, that says Mox. I'm sorry.
This is Mox.
The alcohol.
You know what? You know what? Listen, if you've never watched my show before, I hate Moxley. I cannot stand Dean Ambrose. The guy is such an overactor. I would love to see him in this. I would love to see Dean Ambrose get knocked the fuck out, and everybody that thinks Moxley's such a tough guy and so great, all the IWC that love him. Oh, I would love to see him get knocked out in the Brawl for All.
I think besides Logan Paul, I think Moxley would be the best high-profile guy to be in this. Now, if you remember his match in AEW against Jack Swagger during the COVID era, they presented it. It was a empty arena match or something, and they presented it kind of like a mixed martial arts. They had all these guys from MMA, all these big pugnets, as the cool kids also say, give their assessment of Jack Swagger, Jake Hager, excuse me, against Dean Ambrose, because Dean Ambrose, I guess, does train a little bit of jiu-jitsu, but we haven't really established. I don't think submission. This is brawling and takedowns. I think Brawl for All is at its core.
Do submissions, I think submissions in it's got to be like a time. Like if you lock on a submission hold, you got to make him tap in
something quick.
Like 5 seconds, 10 seconds.
Honestly, I don't want to see it more. I don't want to see technical prowess. If somebody's going to shoot a takedown, if I don't know what your grappling expertise is. Have you trained in any form of grappling really ever?
No. I boxed.
If you were to get into
my first real match, the guy I was supposed to box didn't show up, so I got put in against their junior Golden Gloves boxer, and he embarrassed me in front of in my hometown in front of all my fucking friends. And I was like, oh, I'm never boxing again. I'm all done with this. That was dumb.
Well, did he just light you up right away, or did you get tired, or was it kind of like a little bit later? Because these boxers have.
No, it was from the start. This kid was he was going to be the school from Brockton. He was supposed to be the guy going for the.
He threw combos, right? He threw combos at you. It wasn't like big strikes. He threw combos. You're like, holy shit! People throw punches and bunches.
No, he just danced around with me. It was embarrassing.
Range. He used range.
Embarrassing as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old. It was very embarrassing to just get embarrassed by this kid that was younger than me. That was the junior, going to go to the junior Golden Gloves for the states. And
now, should have been. Now, let's say that guy. So instead of that, I find that guy, and I'm like, you know what? Now we're going to do a submission wrestling contest between you and that guy you box with. The only move you're probably tapping him out is if you get his head right here and you crank a fucking guillotine, probably, right? So I would like to see
lock their legs and stretch.
Yes, I would like to see guillotines maybe allowed in the Brawl for All. Regardless, I think at its core, we're still doing boxing and takedowns.
I think. How about this? How about this? If you take down into a submission, the takedown gets right into a submission. Now you take down and then transition into a submission. If a takedown into a submission can be allowed as submission, but a takedown can't transition into a submission.
I kind of like that, but you need to have a certain clock that plays out. All right, you got the takedown, you got control. Now, we have a fan that did bring up a very interesting. This is not a guy that's signed with the UFC. He's old. Cain Vasquez. Are you familiar? They did actually have him on SmackDown fighting Brock not too long ago.
Yes.
6 years ago.
I could see him do it. He would. That's a guy that I think would do it, especially.
Now, here's another guy that could probably use something. Omos. The juice is not worth the squeeze. Yes, he could win it and look awesome, but he could also get taken down and look like a bitch and really hurt his career. I don't think it would be worth it for Omos.
It wouldn't be worth it for him. And I don't think that in that type of match, he'd be entertaining. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he's not gonna. He's just. He's gonna almost box like Kali, like stand up straight and just like.
Right. He's gotta be able to keep you outside and just catch you. And I think his size might even be a disadvantage because he's up so high and he's gotta like swing down at you. I don't know. I don't think
he has a good sprawl. Dean Ambrose, though, I kind of like the John Moxley, and he's crazy enough to join it. I think Moxley would be a good one.
If I was funding it, I'd put him in it.
So,
and I would be so happy. I did knocked out. I'd be cackling on the side.
I did make a little bit of list. I think we're at almost 8. I got Riddle, Joe, Nick Cage, low key, even though I don't know if you do it, Speedball, Mike Berry or what Mike, what's his name?
Mike Bailey.
Logan Paul and Moxley. Who else? Who else from WWE would do good in it or would benefit from it?
Do good in it or benefit from it?
Take my headset out too. So
I'm trying to think of young guys. I'm trying to think of young guys who would benefit from it because we don't.
Xavier Woods. I like Xavier Woods.
He's an older guy that I think would benefit from it. There's not a lot of older guys I think that are in that position that you're like, oh, this guy would benefit. Like Dom maybe, but does he need to benefit from it? He's already in a position where he's done his thing and he's made his name. So I don't know him. It's tough. It'd probably be somebody in NXT. How about Evans, the bouncy guy? I can't stand him. Another guy I'd like to see knocked out in the tournament, Javon Evans. I don't know though. I can't. There's not a lot of WWE guys. I don't know if anyone watching has WWE guys or even AEW guys that they think would be able to benefit largely from this. What's his name that came over just now from AEW? He's got a new name now. Powerhouse Hobbs. He might be a guy that could benefit from it.
So Powerhouse, a little bit older than we thought, though. Powerhouse Hobbs. That was interesting in WWE. That we found out he's actually older. He is not on the wrong side of 30. He has entered his 40s.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Now in our fantasy booking, we did say, all right, the McMahons came back and they're putting the money, they're funding it. Would Shane suit up for this now?
Maybe. If he's in
Shane, I would like to see
Shane doing it. Shane would do it.
I would like to see Shane. You know what? I'm going to put Shane in this. I would like to see Shane in this. So who else has like a fighter's gimmick in the main promotions? AEW, TNA, WWE. Ooh, we have a comment. Gabe Kidd, I've seen in Japan. I don't get Gabe Kidd. I don't really get him. I know he's a tough guy. I don't even think I could pull him out of a lineup. I know the name exists. My friends like him. My friends watch AEW and Japanese. But the other name that's very similar, that Chad Gable.
That would be interesting. Didn't he do one of those who is it that has those GCW shows where it's like just a fight? It's almost like Brawl for All.
I think Chad Gable was picked out of the Olympics. I think he was an Olympic qualifier.
He was in the Olympics.
I don't know if he actually has too much of an indie career. I would have to Google it and see what his career is. But the last name he has, which is very interesting because his last name's my last name. And I remember when I would go into wrestling and they would do on the announcement, all right, going to the mat, Jim Gable. If you guys aren't familiar with that, there's one of the best scholastic wrestlers in the history of wrestling was Dan Gable. And that's where they gave Chad Gable his name. Chad Gable, that's where Gable Stevenson got his name. Gable Stevenson, I believe, is named after Dan Gable. So I think Chad Gable would flourish in that. And even if he lost, I mean, Chad Gable's like, what, 5'9" in real life? So
Right.
I like Chad Gable on that.
I like there's got to be like other. I'm disappointed that I didn't have more guys on my brain to throw into.
All right, let's bring it back then. Let's bring it back. If this is fantasy realm, so is there anybody within the last 10 years, maybe at this current time they're not that good, but if you can open it up for the past 10 years, who would go in? New Jack. I'm sure New Jack for the right fucking money.
New Jack would have been asking to be in it. He's like, wait, we're gonna do this, so I can just be in it. New Jack would have been in a heartbeat. Half of those ECW guys would have been down for that.
I mean, this is that's a good one. The Creed brothers, any of the Creed brothers, those guys are legitimate too.
Yeah. How about a guy like Jonathan Gresham, especially if we allow grapples into submission.
And that's a guy that has not made a splash on the main market, I would like to say. I don't think that is a main eventer. A lot of people probably don't know his name when you bring it up. I know of him. I do my homework. So that's a guy that could benefit from the exposure of a TKO WWE produced Brawl for All competition. So I kind of like Grisham.
How about, and I know you're not an indie scene guy. Another guy that I think would be in it, and I think he'd be knocked out really fucking fast, Joey Janela.
I mean, I know Joey Janela. That's a Jersey guy.
You're a Jersey guy. Of course you know Joey Janela.
I know Joey Janela.
So you think Joey Janela would do Brawl for All? I think he's a guy that'd be like, yeah, I'd get into that because he's like he's one of those like not so deathmatch guys.
I think within the first round, that's a guy that's just taking those punches, like just taking it, and he is literally a punching bag. But you never know. And I think my statement is what a lot of IWC people, at least the people I talk to, they don't really like Joey Janela. So that would be pretty interesting. Tom Lawler would be fucking awesome, obviously, because he's from UFC. So that's a guy. And where's he been? I have not heard that name in like 3 years. So Tom Lawler is huge for this competition.
I think that's like
Daniel Garcia. I mean, I would like it because. So when I watch any sport, I'm actually not a hater. A lot of people think me, Jimmy, is a hater. There's a lot of guys. Kali was booked a little too heavy. I'm like, all right, why are we booking Kali in the late like 2010s or right around 2010? Daniel Garcia, I don't get, and supposedly everybody likes him. He's a good hand. Which is also a Brawl for All metric that we've seen. Anybody that was a good hand in 1998, Daniel Garcia, to me, would benefit because if he did the Bart Gun and won the mofo, I would now be paying attention to Daniel Garcia.
So, and he doesn't lose a lot from losing.
No, I don't think he could get knocked out in the first round. I don't think his stock really changes or just lose around the first round.
I think he would. What do we have for a number now?
We could probably put 2 more in there. I wrote down some names. I catch them all. I think we need 2 more names to really do it. That's what. So there we go. We got some commenters saying Tom Lawler needs major hip surgery. Unfortunately. Wow. So he said MLW, and we did not touch upon this at all. At all, there, your boy Sean Buff. We have not gotten any representation in this tournament. There's a whole culture that is not being represented, and those are the.
Matt Riddle's an MLW guy now, right? Is Matt Riddle still an MLW?
He might be there, but I'm not talking about MLW. I am talking about the Samoans.
I was going to say that. I was going to say we got to have a Samoan or two in there.
You got to have a goddamn Samoan in this tournament.
Is it Jacob? Is Jacob the guy you throw in there?
I mean, that guy would cut a promo on his way to the ring, and he's the guy. He's the kind of guy
who gets more out of it, him or Solo.
Ooh. See, I don't think Jacob really needs it. I think Solo makes his career that much better with it. I think Solo would benefit more than Jacob Fatu.
I agree with you.
I mean, we did have a Thomas, so we did bring up it, and we don't listen to bums vacant fail. So thank you for your participation.
Not even to you once, you bum.
But yeah, Jacob or Solo. But there should be, I think, a Samoan, because we always talk about these Samoans, and there was none in the initial Brawl for All. So I think having a Samoan in this Brawl for All, I'm just going to put a Samoan. I think we need one more name after that. We just need a Samoan, and then we need one more name after that. We got a 16-man tournament.
There, make it crazy, and make sure they're in the same bracket, so maybe they face each other.
Same bracket, not first round though. Not first round.
Right, I think not first round, but same bracket, same side of it, and that 8. I think you got
So-
two Samoans in there. And you can,
Mr. Puff, we're approaching 3 minutes left before the 2-hour mark. That's always a good one. Is there a big subject you want to cover? Or do you think we can nail this in about 2 hours? Is there something we can go over it? I'm not trying to.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, well, no, I think we kind of covered everything. We talked about how would it work today. If it worked, we talked about what was bad. We talked about what was good. We talked about the outcome or lack thereof. I don't know. I think we pretty much broke down Brawl for All for what it really was and what it could have been. I think we did a pretty good job.
Now you started off this discussion with saying this was a stain on the sport of professional wrestling. Do you overall think we should bring this theoretical tournament back ever? Do you think there is a spot for it in the current climate of wrestling, or let it be by itself?
If done right, it could work. It just has to be done right.
Right.
Here's what I'm going to say. If Tony Khan did it, it wouldn't be done right. And some of you might not like it, and I don't really care what you think. But if Tony Khan did it, it would not be done right. It would be a complete shit show. But if somebody took it and did it the proper way, I think you could turn Brawl for All. I mean, we've seen, what's his name? Who's the other guy? The guy that does I know Amy knows, if Amy's still here. The GCW has their shows where it's like a Brawl for All. There's no ropes in the ring.
Oh, underground matches. The WWE still does it. They do the underground, and they do it during COVID. Shane McMahon had the Fight Club or whatever it was.
Somebody does it. It's not Tom Long.
Oh, Bloodsport. You're talking about Josh Barnett Bloodsport. Yeah, I know.
Bloodsport is very close to what Brawl for All would.
You are correct. Yeah.
If we brought it back, right? Just in a full tournament form. So I think there is a place for it if it's done right, and I think it could be done right, in the way that Bloodsport's done.
No women in it, right? Like Natalie Neihart does not need to be in the Brawl for All with dudes, right?
I mean,
no women need to.
You could do a women's Brawl for All, but that's a whole nother show. We could do a whole nother. We could do maybe when we come next week, we could start off and just really say, hey, by the way, we thought about if we did a women's Brawl for All.
Especially if they were sorting the tires. Like at the end of the day, I'm still a guy, so like a little foxy boxy. I think Charlotte Flair would kill some mofos. Or Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley is a big girl. A lot of people.
Rhea Ripley would probably do very well in that. Oh. Like Ronda Rousey's back fighting again. I think
so here we go. I think that's a great last entry.
Killer Cross. I like it.
That guy's not even signed in WWE. That's a great last minute entry. That's a man that would severely benefit.
He deserve it. That guy is the guy. I don't mean deserve it. He's a guy that would get something out of that if he did well. And if he didn't, oh well, everybody's kind of already blown him anyway. So no diddy. But you know what I mean? Like they've kind of messed up Killer Cross all over the place. So
I thought that was a work. When he got fired, I was like, oh, that's a work. Because he like competed on SummerSlam and then got fired.
It's wild.
But hey, make the comments, share this post when you listen to it. Maybe we will go back and fantasy book a women's Brawl for All.
How about this? And anyone that watches this, go look this up. This will be in every place that you can find us. Smart Spot Monkeys and Super Kicks does have a Facebook page, so go to our Facebook page. We'll post this show there in different forms, and we'll look through the comments and let us know what you guys think if we were to book a women's. And when we start the show next time, we'll talk about that next show.
There you go. I like that.
You know what I mean?
All right. Well, I think that was a good show. So Brawl for All, you'd be up for the Brawl for All being revisited. You think?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I think it could be, if done right, not like they did it. It was not. So let me say this to change what I said when we first came on the air. I don't think it was a failure because of what it was. It was a failure because of how WWF handled it at the time.
And then after the fact, it's they figured they didn't find a way to keep it going and maximize the investment on the return.
Right, because they could
return on investment.
If they played off those knockouts, they could have made Bart Gunn something off of that and said, "Hey, look at what the Brawl for All did." We would be having a completely different discussion if Bart Gunn's career went the other way and he became an Intercontinental Champion, a contender for a world title. I think if you build that right, he could have been a world champion under the right manager and got him up there.
A great transitional champion. He knocked out. Hey. Stone Cold's beating the shit out of him, and somehow he hits that lucky punch, knocks him out, and pins him. And now he's the champ for a month or something.
Right. Absolutely could have been done off of that, but it wasn't handled properly, and that's the real problem. So the stain isn't on the Brawl for All. It's on the handling and planning of the Brawl for All. That's where the real problem was once it's been broken down, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we discussed everything that there was. We really dug in there on the whole Brawl for All competition there.
Yeah, that was good. So next show, tentatively, we might change. We're going to talk about it because I had ChatGPT plan us out a whole schedule, but I've had some things thrown at me, and I think I want to switch things up. But next week, we're going to review a past show. So the whole show is just going to be us reviewing the past pay-per-view. It's scheduled to be the 1992 Royal Rumble. Ric Flair goes all the way from beginning to end. But Jimmy and I will discuss it and figure out what'll be the best show for us to discuss and how we want to break it down. If we want to talk good or talk bad or what the hell we want to do. But that's kind of it.
I mean, that is a great one. I mean, hindsight, there's some big controversial pay-per-views. Starrcade 97. 1999 Over the Edge for various reasons. There's a lot of good pay-per-views there to put in those rose-colored glasses and look back in the history and see how everything aged. But I mean, Ric Flair in early WWE 1990, 1992 Royal Rumble, that'd be a good one to discuss.
So let's run with it. That'll be our first one. We've got tons that we'll be able to do afterwards. So next week's show will be a Smart Side review. Well, we can't say Smart Side.
Sounds a little bit like your psychology's a little off there.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. But we will do a Smarks review on the 1992 Royal Rumble. We'll break it down for you. We'll talk about the good, the bad, why it worked, what didn't work about it, how we do it today. And I think we've seen it kind of done already in the Rumble.
They've done the Royal Rumble for the championship. Roman Reigns, 1 versus all.
Right.
But that gives me an excuse to go back and watch not only the Rumble, but when you say discuss the Rumble, it's not just the Rumble, the whole card probably.
We're going to discuss that whole card, everything that happened on that card, and we'll get into it, and there'll be some fun things, probably some things that people forgot about. That should be a fun show. There'll probably be some things that people remember wrong. I like to, if you go back and look, it's now called geekshavegame.com. Because God hates geeks.
Yeah, man. I mean, I thought we were going to bury the Brawl for All, but we buried geeks and geekology a little bit more here tonight.
Hey, sometimes you got to do it.
Freaking nerds.
If you go look nerds. At my that I wrote, I did a lot of written reviews on Flashback Friday on geekshavegame.com. And if you go look for them, you'll find some shows that I reviewed with today's rose-colored glasses on, and it's not really the same. So we're going to do some of that. We're going to do some of talking about what's great, and who knows? I mean, maybe it'll all be that, because apparently the Brawl for All wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Well, I'm glad that you got the Jimmy experience, and you came out a little bit better. You're a better Sean Puff for having this experience with me.
I think you're a better Jimmy, too, right? Some people hate on you and think that you're like the worst person in the world.
Well, that's a game. That's a whole subject for another time. I mean, we play this game. All right, let me not get... All right.
Nah, it's all good. It's but see, I like this because here people get to see Jimmy as Jimmy and not Jimmy as Jimmy.
We're playing the game. People are mad. People are mad that they're landing on my boardwalk on Monopoly. I don't like Jimmy. Why is he going for the blue pieces? I don't like paying his piece. I'm never playing Monopoly with him again. Fuck you. And you know who you are. I'm sorry.
Well, it's okay. It's all right. Sometimes I'm not Franklin Benjamin here.
That's why Jimmy's Jimmy, because Jimmy created a character where he's Jimmy. So, really, what is a character? But anywho, You gonna help send us off there, Sean Puff?
Yeah, so listen, before we get out of here, I want to ask you, this is where you can plug any of your other shit. Please don't plug Birdman. But tell the people where they can find you and tell them what they should watch this week.
Ooh, well, I mean, you did plug Birdman. So tomorrow, if you're watching on this live aspect, there's 2 shows tomorrow. There's a gauntlet match on that said Burn guy. And there's Turnbuckle Talk, where we discuss it's a more laid back and we discuss things. But this Friday, there will be a Revolt Wrestling card, which is going to be pretty serious. I think I approached this game pretty well. A lot of people like to say in character, out of character. Please shoot me in the head if you ever hear me talk about that when it should be a completely kayfabe show. Like, what are we doing here? A lot of people think they know this game, and they will never be in a situation where I have a live mic and I'm allowed to say whatever I say. So instead of plugging my shit, I'm going to plug me. If you want some, come fucking get some. You know where to find me. I'm sorry. Wow. Sean Puff, you get me way too excited, man. Chill out, dude.
All right. So I'm not even going to plug eFed. eFed's wild. It's something else we do. It's how this conversation came about of us throwing this together. But if you want to check out Franklin Benjamin, just go Google Franklin Benjamin. And you'll probably find some
Google me.
I've never Googled Franklin Benjamin. I should do that and see what
I'm about to. Everybody, Google Franklin Benjamin. Report back to us what you come up with.
Let us know what you find. But listen, I don't watch wrestling as much as I used to.
Yeah,
that's the wild.
But you still pay attention. You still come across dirt sheets. You still come across dirt sheets. You have your finger on the pulse of wrestling still.
I do. I just don't watch as much as I do just because I feel like once you get into wrestling and then getting to the game that we play, it draws you away from it because you're doing wrestling things and you don't have time to do wrestling things and watch wrestling. And
I watch most Raws like 5 days later and I try to catch the big WWE pay-per-views. Beyond that, I've not watched an AEW pay-per-view in forever, but you and me, we like you said, we keep our finger on the pulse. We still know what happens. Wait, well, actually, here we go. I'm sorry to cut you off. All right, $20. Now, you know what? $1,000 theoretical. Who is the AEW champion, Sean Puff, right now currently? That's wild!
MJF?
I think he is too, yeah, because he had the match with Zilla.
I only know that because I just saw that he had a match against Zilla Fatu.
Yep.
For the title.
I
watch what's going on, but I haven't watched AEW and I don't even know how long.
So you also I forgot MJF just
in
the match. You don't know who the TNT champion is, right?
I do not.
So folks, if you're listening now below, don't go Google it. If you know and wherever you're watching this, comment down below who you think the TNT champion is. I think that'd be pretty funny.
You know what's funny? I do prediction leagues.
Mm-hmm. I always want to try one of those.
Like, I'm the Intercontinental Champion in one league.
For making predictions.
Yeah.
So somebody with a late second said Kyle Fletcher. So
you know what? Is the TNT champion?
Oh, he's the champion. I thought he meant him for the Brawl for All.
He beat Ciampa because Ciampa came over. Ciampa came over and they gave him the title in his debut match.
I never, once Kyle Fletcher cut his hair, and guys, hey, let us know subjects down below you want us to talk about. If you're liking our random hot takes on what we're talking about, this is the time to comment. And at some point, he uses the Brain Buster as a finisher. Since Chavo Guerrero in WCW, Eddie had a nice one, but he didn't use it as a finisher. Nobody's really had a good Brain Buster. And I got to give Kyle Fletcher, I like his Brain Buster. That's my final thought. Kyle Fletcher's Brain Buster is my final thought.
Kyle Fletcher's Brain Buster. Final thought. I like it. Listen, check us out. You can find me on Twitter under Sean Puff or under Franklin Benjamin. If you want to see Franklin Benjamin and you're listening to this and you're not in our group of e-fetters, you can find me. I compete in Foundation. I compete in the BWO. I compete in Elite. I compete in EMP. I don't compete in. I am the general manager and on the management team in EMP. If you want to get involved in any promos, come check us out over there too. That's a whole nother thing. I compete in AWE. I think I got everywhere I compete. But check us out. Come check me out there. Look for Franklin Benjamin. You'll see some interesting things. It's completely different than who I am here. But check us out next week. I think we're gonna shoot to it's Monday today when we're recording this. Is the middle of a blizzard. I think we're gonna shoot for Tuesdays. Let's plan for Tuesdays. This will drop every week.
Ooh, I like that.
Gives us time to produce it. So you people that got to be here live, got to see it live, and that's great. But for the people that are just listening to us, you're listening to us maybe on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or Chatbox or wherever the hell you're listening. We're all over the place. You can, if you find us on Facebook, follow us on Facebook. As we start to get going, maybe we'll throw the link there on Facebook, and you can jump onto YouTube and join us live and get your comments in with us. But
and if you want to help us and you watch like a lot of this show and somehow you're watching to the very end, if you enjoyed yourself, maybe share it yourself to some people. Help us grow and let us know you helped us grow, and we'll bring you on. One hand washes the other.
Right. Plus, and we'll give you a shout out. Even if we don't bring you on, we shout you out in the comments. Like, we appreciate the people that come on here and throw some comments back to us to help us interact.
I mean, I'll book you. I'll book you on my thing. I'll book anybody.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah, you go to Revolt, he'll book
this way.
Anybody.
This
He'll book
way.
anybody. Like
this way.
This way.
You book that way. That way, folks. For the people listening at home, Franklin Benjamin does not have his inverted controllers on. So, like when you play Halo and you try to go up, it goes down if you have inverted controls. So we were pointing
on my screen. You're on this side of me, not that side. So
there we go. All right. We figured it out. We had a Doink the Clown WrestleMania 9 moment there.
This is why
you
should watch us live, and if not, and who knows, and maybe we'll edit out part of this anyway, and you didn't even hear any of this shit.
Yeah, I'd probably cut it like 10 minutes ago. But anywho,
right. But anyway, next week we're gonna cover the 1992 Royal Rumble, so that'll be a great show. Make sure you tune in. Until then, for Jimmy, I'm your boy Sean Puff, and this has been Smarks, Spot Monkeys, and Super Kicks.
Super Kick Party. Super Kick Party.